Peace, really too. Africa. Africa, we have to start our program officially now. I'd like you to observe the following. We have to talk about the house rules, and I'm trying to explain to you how this will work. This is an extraordinary way of doing a commemoration service because most of the people who are watching are doing so virtual. They are seeing this commemoration from home, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and other platforms that the PAC has provided for people to follow. It is also recorded in such a way that you can visit those pages later to see and understand what has been said here. So we were doing this because we are now living under different conditions, and the conditions that are current right now do not encourage gatherings. So this commemoration service has been decided to be done on a virtual basis. And the rules are these, that we will have speakers here who will speak directly to the audience, the broader audience. We have a small audience here in the house, which is made up largely of the Mlambo and Nkosi families and their relatives and their friends who are here. We're keeping that number very low so that we comply with COVID-19 protocols in South Africa as it is stated right now. We will have a funeral service on Saturday, but even that will be done according to the COVID-19 protocols. However, there are, and I'm indicating this clearly to you, there are branches of the PAC throughout the country, those who are able to, who are holding similar commemoration services of small groups of not less than, or not more than 20, who are observing a similar commemoration to our fallen hero, our comrade Johnson Philip Mlambo. We now have to observe these things here. Please, I ask that you put your phones on silent so that they are not overheard here, and also that we, as much as possible, listen to our speakers as they come to provide messages of condolences, messages of support, and all other relevant messages to the family, to the PAC, and to the masses as a whole. We don't want interruption as far as that is concerned. We also ask that we have very little movement, particularly on the podium here, so that there's no disturbance of any sort. We humbly ask that we observe those rules and that we attend closely. Now, the virtual commemoration service is very difficult, particularly for us who are here, the small group that is here. There are speakers who have pre-recorded their messages. So their messages will be shown live, but we may have difficulty seeing them here. But I know, because my team, my production team, will indicate that we now have a speaker like this, and I will introduce that speaker, and they will speak directly into the Facebook pages, the YouTube pages, in that sense, as the program moves on. It's a bit of a letdown, because we will not be all be able to see it here, but we have a mechanism to allow others to see. And then we'll push the program like that until we come to the end. This should not take us more than 2.5 hours to go through this program. I hope you understand that I did not make introductions about myself and what the program looks like. I'm the Secretary for Publicity and Information in the National Executive Council of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. Very long, but all it means is I'm the PAC spokesperson national. And I'm here as program director to see to it that things move accordingly. We have a 3-part program. The first part deals with the family and the neighborhood. Let me put it that way. So we have speakers who will represent the family and the neighborhood, but we will open the whole program with a religious ritual, be it a prayer or a sermon. We will start with that, and at the end we will close by prayer. If we start with prayer, we close with prayer. We will also open before the. We will open after I've spoken here. We will open with the PAC national anthem. We know it, but generally, because it's at a funeral, we'll do isibani to Amakawet, our patriots, our heroes, shown the light, and we must follow the light. We must also take that light and make the people see where we are going when we talk of freedom. So we will sing that song. It is fitting in an occasion like this. But I appeal to everyone. We have time limitations. Our speakers will not. There's no speaker who will take longer than 15 minutes, even though we have longer programs. And I know who are those speakers. Most of the speakers will take up to 3 to 5 minutes, so that we accommodate everybody. And I don't want to when we come to the end, try and squeeze everyone. No one will speak without having been approved by the program director. These are my dictatorial powers offered to me gracefully, because I'm here managing this process. But this is a way in which we do things properly, as we were taught by our leaders. Our PAC leaders have taught us to be organized, on time, and do things properly. I think this is enough to introduce what the program of the day will be. I just have to tell you that the second program deals with the leaders of the PAC. The leaders of the PAC who have worked very closely with Comrade Mlambo. We have a panel of leaders who will talk to Comrade Mlambo's experience in the struggle. We will talk to Comrade Mlambo's experience on Robben Island in prison. We will talk of Comrade Mlambo's experience in exile. We will have other members of other organizations who have experienced a similar program. We have invited the Black Consciousness Movement, who have a history with us in the PAC, who also see things in a similar way that we see things. So we have invited Comrade Musibudi Mangena, who previously was Azapo president, was member of parliament and was also a cabinet minister at some stage. He's a retired citizen and he comes here to press solidarity. So he also speaks along with these leaders because he was in prison with Comrade Mlambo, and we'll talk to those experiences. The last part is the final and short part. This last part really is when we wind up. The PAC will officially make a statement through its Secretary General. We will also have a statement from the leader of the Azanian People's Liberation Army Military Veterans Association. These two compose the last part, and then we'll have a closing with prayer, and that will be our business for the day. I hope this is understood, and let's get this done properly. May we please rise and sing Isiban.
The water, so the water is the
Africa la siya bula siya teta babua siya kuluma on sprat. What else am I doing? That's language that people should understand. Okay, some say we do sign language. Unfortunately, we are unable to do that right now. But everything should be done to make people hear what we are saying. Tamanjwa kere serikena ribula katapelo yano. Itla kupa baruti barutuse katapelo, and then I'll come back again to take the program forward. Akofeta baruti ritla kupa mongwale loko laha Mlambo atlo re amogela and then ritla kupa le branch ya mo Davidton. Mutho emetseng branch ya Davidton le ena tlo re amogela re tla ya jalo le jalo until the first party fair. Izwe lethu ya Africa.
Peace unto you. Now, hagere khotse ba lona ke thula benani. Kulokuhlunga obusivele. Ngakho ke prefer me okhuluma yo ubaba Benjamin Muloyi umfundisi walo baba oshonile from Emaphuphe. And then phemba uqhubeka nami ngenkulumo ngisacela nje sonke ngoba uNkulunkulu wathi ake sigobena amakhanda sikhandazeni. Singachithi isikhathi. Ngoba mina ngifuna ukuzwa ngayo ubaba kube bethini ara rapele mbosi. Kiyaokupa kiyaorapela misiya ukapunyana zathe musalama hawu. Mahlale bophelo kono sibampitse bitse ngayona. At this moment, I could say we need you a lot because all the soul belongs to you. Now give us guidance to do the job as you have experienced us. I call you in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Amen. Can take your part. Yeah. Now see me now, but not with you. Tula mbenani. Amen. Yeah, bantwana baNkulunkulu umfundisi Madobuda lo. Obuya naye babumloyi singabafundisi bakhe ubaba Mlambo. Bona la iDavid into nje sihlala ngale emikhuphini. Tula mabenani. Ubaba sambile naye thi. Ngiyabona ngosamakhakhi la siwagcokayo. Ubaba emdala. Esihlonipha singabantwana bakhe. Okunye nokunye asiphakamisa njengabafundi abafundisi bakhe. Kusho leyo nhlonipho leyo yile ubaba asifundise yona ukuthi impilo inje. Ukuthula mabenani. Manje sithi basekhaya eMlambo ngoba umndeni siyazi ukuthi uhlanganiswa abantu ababili. Sithi akwehlangana ngehlanga. Silimalelwe nathi siyinhlangano yaseDavid. Kodwa okuye kwangijabulisa ukuthi ubaba ukhethile inkosi azange athi njengoba besebunzimeni kusho ukuthi uNkulunkulu akekho uthi makabuya weza uNkulunkulu wangena kuNkulunkulu wathandaza manje njengoba sibona la sizofakaza lokho ukuthi ungowethu njengoba engewenu nani ma-Afrika. Ukuthula mabenani. Izwe leli libuya ngenxa yenu. Siyazi iningi lamakhehla ukuthi abuya kuphi. Okay, khona besikwenza thina la ngaphandle. Kodwa bona bebabhekene direct nalobunzima esibheke obungale ngaphambili. Thina abanye besenza siloko sithela ngasemuva. Kodwa bona bebaphuma nje badelethu lelizwe. Thina sibathandazisa badelethu lelizwe. Kodwa uNkulunkulu enamandla enomusa wenza ukuthi ngempela banqobe nali libuye leli kithi. Ukuthula mabenani. Manje sithi umcele futhi uNkulunkulu nabo abazali bethu njengoba sebahamba bayolala basebenzile baqedile masilibambeni lelizwe ngezandla ezimhlophe sinikazaneni isinkwa sonke phile sonke singabantu. Ngokusho njalo ngiyabonga.
Izwe lethu eAfrika Afrika ngizacela nje njengoba sizwana abantu abadala ibebona abahlala lapha phambili and then sisenze nje the way siplanning ngakhona. Ngokusho njalo bengicela nje ukhona wefamily engeza la phambili ukuthi gore amogela. Please feel free ubuye ka mkho ukhona nkateng ba ga Mlambo. Thank you.
Izwe lethu iAfrika izwe lethu iAfrika siyabonga qabana. Mina ke uCharles Mlambo omele ifamily kanje. Okokuqala ngithanda ukuthi ngibonge leadership yenu ePAC. Phela sifikile siyabona ukuthi benimthanda ubaba wethu. We are so grateful. We are so happy. Okwesibili ngithanda ukuthi thina as a family siyanamukela nina nonke ekhaya. Sibonga futhi nale memorial service eni-arrangile. I know it is difficult, it is a difficult time, but you have managed to do it this far. As a family, siyanamukela. What we are concerned about, let us keep that social distance. We don't like ukuthi nomuntu over infected. Manje, please let us observe the protocol, the COVID. Sihloniphane thina sonke. As a family, sivulile izandla. In fact, if there is anything that you're not happy about, we are here to listen to you, to help you with everything. Therefore, ngithi-ke maqabane enzani konke enikhulumayo kuzosisiza nathi as a family. silindeni ukuthi nikhulume nisiduduze and uma lokho nikhuluma nathi lokho usinikeza ihope yokuthi nani njengamaqabane nizobuyelana nibe right. I must say that ngoba it's a concern to me, right? And it was also a concern to him. Therefore, sister, welcome. Masihlanganeni sikhulumisaneni nikhulume siye futhi senze yonke into ibe right kakhulu. Izwe lethu iAfrika siyabonga.
Africa, this is the part the local branch to welcome all of us. We'll have the branch, the region, and the province in that order. I would, just for purposes of progress, ask that the speaker come, introduces himself, and then gets to the point of what he wants to say, so that the progress of the discussion goes smoothly. Unfortunately, there will not be breaks for Opel, Ali, for Tayalo. We'll have time for that. We'll have a bit of a break in between the parts of the program. But as the speakers go, I prefer and suggest that let's hear people and let's listen to them attentively. I will from now on ask that the branch of Davidton, I think it's called, we are fortunate that we have the chairman of the province in the PAC here with us. So we will have an authoritative voice from that angle. Let me welcome the branch. I hope we understand each other that way.
Thank you, Mr. Program Director. Izoleto, yeah, Africa. Yes, Africa local Mayo Robert Wagamnisi. I'm the branch chairperson, the Greater Benoni Johnson Mlambo branch. Africa, we'd like to say you are welcome to be part of this memorial service. Feel free, Africa, so that to commemorate with us everything Yamogelegi. Siabu.
Izoletu, yeah, Africa, PAC motto, PAC motto, Izoletu, Africa, bafundisi bami, umndeni wonke sowuphelele, lo mengaphambi kwenu uvumane uze regional secretary PAC la ekuruleni under the leadership of chairperson wami uBubu wakwazwane. Izwe lethu iAfrika. Ma-Africa, we've lost the cadre. Ma-Africa, we've lost the Stalwart. Some of us besisancela kuyo baba Mlambo. Some of us we needed to ncela more, sibe wisdom, because at the end of the day we need wisdom from our elders. We need wisdom from our cadres. Esibe ayihambile le ndlela, so that nathi as youth, our PAC, we can take the banner and pass on the page. Izwe lethu. So as the regional secretary yasekuruleni and as ekuruleni at large, silahlekelwe machoni. But we know ekulahlekelweni kwethu ubaba ushiye nolwazi. It is up to us ukuthi thina as siwulusha, as PAC ekuruleni sisebenzisa kanjani lolo lwazi lolo alifunayo. One of the things ebeka phambili kuzo and ebekasithanda mostly, it is umanyano, unity within Africa itself. That is why if you look at one of the aims and the objectives of the party, PAC, it is rally and unite all Africans under the banner of Pan-Africanism. Meaning ukuthi simanyana wonke umuntu iazania siyonke seyiphelele siyamanyanana ukuze si overthrow the government the system le eyenza ukuthi abantu namhlanje baphile kungcindezi, still abantu bathi bakhululekile, but through abo baba Mlambo we get courage, we get amandla, we taking amandla from kibo. Let us carry on raising the flag of PAC siphakamisele phezulu. It is said njoba siwulusha futhi or siwumuzwa ka PAC losing cadres, but we still have our elders of which we need to ukuthi sincele kubo, abo baba uMwendane, abo baba Mabaso. We still have them within the party, whereby they still have the wisdom, they still have the knowledge ekumele siyesoncela kuyo, because ngaphandle kwabo asiyilutho. As ekuruleni region, we have started ukuthi let us bring back our elders. Our elders wethu, they are the one who are going to show us the guidance, because namhlanje most of the time if you look at the party they in tatters, it is because we've taken our elders wethu sawabekela ngaphandle, then we thought to ourselves ukuthi siyayazi lento le, but not knowing ukuthi asiyazi, besizitshela ukuthi singabo clever kakhulu sesiyazi, but we needed to go back to ourselves. That is why naseBhayibheli indodana yolahleke, he needed to go back to himself ukuthi azithole ukuthi ubani yena. So nathi as siyukureleni, we decided to go back to ourselves, going back to the party basics, whereby we're going back to our elders ukuthi sibuze ukuthi mase kunje senza kanjani. So silahlekele supoqo, silahlekele suumuzi wase Azana so yonke, not PAC yodwa, iAzana yonke sinomakhelwane bonke abantu balahlekele. It is because of the Ikeda ubaba uMlambo indima ayidlalile eAzana seyonke during the apartheid system, apartheid time. Azange athi makabuya washiya ibhena ye-PAC. No, uhleli 10 days the country, but decided he got a call ukuthi no, ama-Azania ayangidinga, and kuleyo call he responded to the call. So nathi, who are we ukuthi sizokhala ngokuthi angisemsebenzini? That is why some of us decided ukuthi nalo msebenzi awume kancane, but because of the call ukuthi we know baba uMlambo and asimgabazi odabeni futhi siyamazi, he would always fight for unity within our masses. He would always talk about unity within our Africanists. So namhlanje iPAC E1, it is because of our such people abo baba uMlambo who fought for us with no machoni asimanyaneni ukuze siraise iflag yePAC ibe phezulu. Izwe lethu iAfrika
izwe. Comrades and friends, let me set the tone by reading a message for you from one of the outstanding leaders of the PAC, the former president of the PAC, Comrade Motsoku Pheko, has sent this message. I'm reading it. To the Mlambo family, to all the comrades, Ma-Africa in the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, this is not a good moment. The great man has left us just when we needed him the most. A freedom fighter, a political prisoner on Robben Island at the young age of 23, a diplomat, a people's soldier commanding the Azanian People's Liberation Army, a leader of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, here at home and in exile. The humble servant of the African people endured deep suffering and humiliation on Robben Island. Yet, his humble, observant nature and listening skills gave him leadership skills that enhance his servant leadership style. A simple man, gracious, and one of the decent men of honor in the PAC. He had great faith and was grounded in his Christian beliefs, which set him aside as a man of integrity. I came to know Comrade Mlambo in the underground movement in the 1980s and openly when I served the Pan-Africanist Congress at the United Nations in New York and at the Human Rights Commission in Geneva in Switzerland, where I represented the victims of apartheid and colonialism. As a diplomat, he had the ability to present the case for self-determination, land repossession, and spoke convincingly about the plight of the African people living under apartheid and colonialism. He was an indefatigable campaigner with Friends of the PAC's anti-apartheid movements. I worked closely with Comrade Johnson Mlambo after I returned from exile and after 32 years. I know him well. He was a man of integrity. He never cheated or lied. He never stole anybody's money. He sacrificed his life for his African people. He helped everybody who needed his assistance personally or officially. Comrade Johnson Mlambo was gold for the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania and for the national and continental cause of Africa. He will remain gold for the people of this country and an undying patriotic inspiration for them. He valued peace among the Africans. He knew and warned that without unity and peace among us as Africans, we shall not be as progressive as in those of the leadership of Mangaliso Robert Sobukwe, the leadership of Zafanaya Mtupeng, and many other stars. He took leadership of the PAC from John Pokela after he spent 20 years on Robben Island. He led with courage and humility in one of the most difficult times of our struggle. He loved his family and home, and his home was a sanctuary. He had a great sense of humor, and his laugh could bellow from a distance. Long live Comrade Johnson Mlambo. Long live Comrade Johnson Mlambo and his family and the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. Let us understand one thing. This is the beginning, not the end. Izwelethu. Africa. This message is by Comrade Dr. Mutsuku Peku. He is recently reached the age of 90. As you know, people with comorbidities, I got it right. It's a tongue twister, but people with underlying health conditions are advised to stay at home, and we accepted that in the spirit that we also want to have Comrade Peku living longer. Izwelethu. Long live the spirit of Comrade Johnson Mlambo, long live. Long live the spirit of all our leaders, long live. Long live the PAC, long live. Izwelethu. Africa. Viva Apla. Viva PAC. One settler, one bullet, Izwelethu. Comrade will now have the comrade who's a chairman of the Pan-Africanist Congress in Gauteng, Comrade Tsietsi Mulebati. Comrade, the floor is yours.
Izwelethu. Africa. Long live the undying revolutionary spirit of Comrade J.P. Mlambo. Long live. Long live the undying revolutionary spirit of Lekwane Anglezaf Mutupeng. Long live. Long live the undying revolutionary spirit of Mangaliso Robert Sobukwe. Long live. Long live the undying revolutionary spirit of Solomzi A. Pimda. Long live. Long live the undying revolutionary spirit of Anton Ziwake Limbete. Long live. Comrade Chair, thank you very much. Yabona inkinga ebakhona ukuthi uhlale ulungisa indaba zakho. Mawufika so lalela abanye bakhuluma then hey uyazi ukuthi ngathi le yami incinci incane le. Abantu laba bakhuluma izinto ezinzima kakhulu. Kodwa ke hayi no i-challenge esihlala nayo ebomini. Sikulise ke kumnteni wakamlawo ngizwe isikhulumi sefamily sithi uyabona ukuthi besimthanda sisafuna igama elingconyana ukudlula ukuthanda lendlela uMlambo asebenze ngakhona abomlambo abobani so mina izolo besihlangene sinomhlangano la ekhaya and savumelana ukuthi i-theme esizogijima ngayo from today up to Saturday nge-funeral has to talk about the role that Comrade Johnson Mlambo played in the unity, the PAC. Now, ngicabanga ukuthi sifana ukuthi sihlukanise kathathu. Ideologically, the first aim of the PAC says unite and rally the African people under the banner of African nationalism. So so he's got a very clear ideological base and foundation. Unite and rally the African people under the banner of African nationalism. Now that was a product because those were scholars and intellectuals who sat down and looked at things. So Pan-Africanism, as we have it today, Azania, is a product of Limbede and Mda. There's two scholars who sat down, and Musoko Peko, that Comrade Chair has just read from, calls Mda the political scientist. Now, about Comrade Johnson Mlambo, they were products of Osobuk. Now, Wezogoguti was only 23 when he went to the island. Now, one of his few comrades, Obrin Chaupe Mokwape, who was 18 or 16 in 1960, was buried about 2-3 weeks back. And Chaupe Mokwape then became a member of the Black Consciousness movement, but he still knew that his roots were within the Pan-Africanist Congress for Zania. Now, the second point here, unity, Yagam Comrade Johnson Mlambo, was when he was released at Robben Island and was given an instruction, like Africa Secretariat region spoke Uguti. He stayed only for 10 days inside the country, then Robben Island. And then he was given an instruction to go to Uyafunega Ngapand. So ufika lapayana gukona John Nyati Pokela, who was the epitome and engineer the unity at that stage. So Mlambo then goes in, and over and above all his learnings and teachings in life, he sees Nyati Pokela in action, uniting the PAC. Now at that stage, I then visit Lesotho, and there's a man called Z.B. Molete, who was in the inaugural executive, PAC. Now, Tate Molete would then share with me how these things happened, because my second eldest sister was a member of the BCP, so she would introduce me to these people. So Tate Molete then shares with me how Nyati Pokela was able to get even Amanyama Joinwe PAC, who had already left and formed another organization. So Johnson Mlambo arrives at that stage when Nyati Pokela is busy. So when Nyati dies 85, Johnson Mlambo then is chosen as the chairperson of the Central Committee of the PAC. Now, the one thing, kulaba bangayazi kahle ke, bangawazi kahle lo mbutho wakapoqo. Xa ukhethwa ukuthi uzoba i-leader, akuna favoritism. Ukuthi unemali noma unani ukuba i-PAC does not have money due to our thinking ye-socialism. So even internationally, amanye countries awafuni ukusinikeza imali. Banikeza imali babazi ukuthi uzopusha i-program yabo. So that Molete would always making aware of how from the inception of PAC, they would sit and look at the gifts and talents of the members and say, Lona Usobuk uzoba president. Lona Molete is very good with words and all that. Uzatati publicity. And then kanjalo. Now, Mlambo was able to continue with the unity project, Nyati Pokela, until such time that time came when the PAC had to come back home. Now, at a certain stage, about 5, 10, 15 years back, the Pan-Africanist Congress of the People of Azania had its own internal problems. And all these problems, they happen, whether you go to the Black Consciousness movement, they've got problems. The African National Congress has those problems because the enemy is one, it's imperialism. Yeah, yabona laba onqonqo laba abantu abanemali bateke itafula lana, so babize bonke laba be-ANC nalaba be-PAC nozabo bathi hayi madoda izani nizodla nakukudla kukhona. So abanye bayakhala bafike bahlala manje babiza abanye ukuthi hayi izani madoda ukudla kukhona ma. So ma ungafuni ukudla ukuthi uyathengisa wena. So sonke njengama-Afrika la e-Azania, even e-Africa, we've got a big problem. Hence City, from Cape to Cairo, Morocco to Madagascar, no settler minority can claim ownership of our land. Israel. Now, as I've said now, Comrade Johnson Mlambo, in that third leg unity, played a very huge role. His presence was felt at Kimberley from the 9th to the 12th of August in 2018. He was there. And he stood and made his thinking felt. We were aware that he was becoming frail in terms of health. But we still believe that Africa Fesekile Chiki took him and they drove to Kimberley and back. So every time when I spoke to Fezi, he would tell me about how he switched off the radio from here up to Kimberley and back, just listening to him. A comrade of ours who used to be very active, Springs Nasekato, in the early 90s, at the time when COSAS declared war on Baso. And at that stage, I happened to have been secretary of the Davidton branch. And that comrade got involved in the action. He's serving more than 40 years imprisonment to say Lyoko. So I went in touch with him. He writes to me, he says, Mafrika, I learned that Comrade Mlambo is no more. Then Utige, and I quote him, when a stalwart dies, the whole library is burnt. Close the quote. Now that sounds big to me. When a stalwart dies, a library is burnt. So Africa, the secretary of region, Africa, Ufumankaiti, Kukona Africa, Ungila Mwendani. He's actually talking the truth because we rely on them to give us information of Guti. Ibuya Pilenda. History is your social analysis. I'll analyze it from today. You have to find out Guti, Ikamuga Pilendon, Ivelapi, Guti Figala, so that Sizokas Guti, my Sugala, in terms of the future. Now, just at the end, what does Comrade Mlambo leave for us? What's the legacy? Now, because Chatanya legacy, there's a saying that says the immortal contributions of Comrade Johnson Philip Mlambo in the Azanian Africanist Revolution. That's it. The immortal contributions of Comrade Johnson Philip Mlambo in the Azanian and Africanist Revolution. The one thing that he was known for was that he was ideologically very strong. He understood the three pillars of the PAC. He understood that the cause that made African people to live like that was settler colonization. He understood that apartheid comes and is founded on settler colonialism. He knew very well that our problem was not just apartheid. The foundation of our problems was settler colonization. He still knew, even up to his last days, that settler colonialism in occupied Azania is still in place. You could see that he's crying out to say, what do we do? Because the enemy has created conditions that make the African masses believe good I says much. So how then do the masses react when in the subconscious mind they believe that they are free? He understood that it is a African socialist democracy. He understood that the mission of the PAC was total independence, total freedom for Africa, politically, socially, economically, and militarily. He understood that that was the historic mission of the PAC. He understood that there were historic tasks, 4 of them. He knew that there were historic roles. If you read Article M of the Pan-Africanist Manifesto that was adopted on the 5th of April, 1959. He knew all those things. And he knows that the historic goal is an Africanist socialist democracy. So he understood how the national revolution and the socialist or class revolution integrate. So, Bagomlam, siyabonga ma. Nisi pe abantu aba umuntu oqotho kakhulu. This man will always talk about him in the present, because one of the famous quotes zakhe was the one lebeiti, don't fight your enemy with knuckle dusters, vanquish him with arguments. That's what he was known for. And the last night, Kaya, I started going on to some of the documents, Azania News and Azania Combat, just to find out ukuthi bekathini uMlambo. Indaba zakhe ziningi kakhulu. Bakhona abanye ke bakwaMlambo abazositshela ngaye. Kodwa mina okwami nje on behalf of the province and its 5 regions, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Joburg, Western and Sidibeng, Africa akhala kakhulu. But they know ukuthi we cannot all live forever. So the legacy, Yaka Johnson Mlambo, is the one where he says, read the basic documents of the party. There is no PAC without those 6 basic documents. The 3 that were adopted at the conference, inaugural conference, the manifesto, the constitution, and the disciplinary code. Then go back, 1949 speech Sakasobuku at Fort Hare, where he was president of the SRC. And then come back and read that speech Sakasobuku when he launched the status campaign. And then he was there. Those 6. Without reading those basic documents, you are not yet a member of the PAC. So you must get into the culture of reading, and reading, then go into a workshop to debate. So it's not so much about Sobukwe, he contributed. It's not so much about Mlambo, he contributed. It's about the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania as it represents the masses of Azania. Israel, Africa.
Africa, I think Jevi said a point there because we tell Tilo chairman. We calculate and just hand the Tolum Park. In John, when you start your PAC, Tigate, Akulu, Fulabutigate, I'm shop, but I'm not with it, like Tataganja. And it says very clearly that we will establish an Africanist socialist democracy that caters to the intellectual, material, and spiritual interest of the individual. So, the last part. In the last part, the spiritual part. You know, Ukombe Mlambo now, he symbolizes this thing for us. Contextually, our differences in the struggle were based on people who came to Southern Africa and undermined the ability of the African people to think, to know themselves, and to know where they are going. And they thought we would be treated like babies all our lives. We will actually be treated like animals who have no history, who have no thought, who have no vision of the future. And they thought they will tell us these things. You may as well know that the white people, in their interpretation of settler colonialism, they believe that there will be some whites, some trustees who represent and speak on behalf of black people. They had laws for such things. The 1909 Act of Union completely wipes out African people, the indigenous people of Africa, from owning and exercising their birthright, because the colonialists thought we are not human beings. They thought we are, because of these reasons, thought we are not human beings. I'm summarizing here because I want to get to the point. With this background, in the struggle, there came several people about who thought they know too much and tried to explain to the African how to struggle, how to respond to oppression, and how to struggle. And they began to dominate the thinking in the Native Congress, in the African National Congress. And there began clashes because the African people were saying, no, man, this is our struggle. We are the ones who must say how the struggle continues. One of the issues that that arose were that for the struggle to be revolutionary, there was no supreme being. There was no spirituality. African people had to follow this thing like cardboard boxes, like planks, and so on, to continue in the struggle. The Africanists opposed that. Now, this clause comes from the 1949 program of action that was written by, among others, by Sobukwe. They took that and put it into the 5 aims of the PAC. Now, What the PAC did, and the African people must acknowledge this, but we must first tell them so that we claim this. The PAC saved South Africa, the African people in South Africa, I'm saying this deliberately, from being led astray. We saved them. And here's how we saved them. We rose up as Africanists and opposed something that said we had no spirituality. We had no indigenous knowledge system. We had no knowledge of God. We had no knowledge of ourselves as a people in spiritual terms, because these things were put aside. If you look at it, we are the only liberation movement in South Africa that speaks of a spirituality, written down, that we are dedicated to. What did we achieve? We achieved this. We brought the churches into the struggle. We struggled, bringing the churches to side with us. At the foundation of the PAC, we also categorize what we mean by churches. Sobukwe and his colleagues brought in what is called the indigenous independent churches, the churches that interpret spirituality from an African point of view. He also brought in the churches that come from the poor, the masses who rereng ba dikobo di magetleng, so that the church of the poor should have a voice. Not only that, at the launch of the PAC, the churches who were the representatives of the churches who were there were explaining the PAC from a biblical point of view. What am I saying? Because Sobukwe said when we talk to the masses, we must talk to them in biblical simplicity. Meaning, re bue le batho ka language e batho ba e utlwisang, ka puo e batho ba e utlwisisang, the idiom tse batho ba di utlwisisang ka teng. So the PAC got this groundswell of support because it did the right thing. That is why others, one market about PAC was a minority organization. It had few supporters. No, we had the supporters of the masses. Here's what happened going forward. The churches, including Those 1,000 prisoners came from all over. They were, and they included some of the comrades, including Zuli himself, and some of the comrades will come to this podium. So the PAC has this history, and Mlambo was part of those who made history. We have to understand it, and we have to make that understanding go to the family so that family members understand how Comrade Mlambo contributed and how we regard him. So that is what we will be discussing here. And then we have, and I must say, I'm very happy that we are able to do this. Who wouldn't? If tragedy like this happens to anyone, it's far much better if the one who walked with him, in and out. So we are, and that comrade is Comrade Gela Mike Mendal. This year he'll talk directly to us today. So in the next part, that's what we have. We will also have, unfortunately, in this part we have most of the speakers will do so digitally, not from this platform, but they will make those contributions. And I hope that we are also able to link with Comrade Musibudi Mangen of the Black Consciousness Movement to state his experience with Comrade Mlambo. Musibudi Mangena, and I have to give the explanation so that we are all in sync. He was arrested in the 70s from the student movement. There was an organization called the South African Student Organization, which represented the advancement of the cause of the black man. And Comrade Mangena was, in actual fact, the first one who was a leader to be arrested and go to Robben Island to meet with the other generation of Porto at that time. So his experience, he has written books about this, but his experience is an intergenerational dialogue and connection with the previous experience. And he's coming to talk to those issues. He'll do so virtually again. That I think will represent our second part, and then we will then wrap it up from there, go to the last part as I explained earlier. But by this I mean the comrade Oluwama Gwecho, he has to come here with me. To lead us there. I just need 3, Magwecho, which is also a way for us to take a bit of a break. And then we come back again. We're not moving out. We then continue with the program where we will not have interruptions of songs and so on. Africa, how's it? Panelozela Africa. So expose them. Okere aene pula oh pula ya sobukwe aene ekuri aene ekere teo abuya teo moya wa sobukwe teo ekere teo moya wa sobukwe aene pula pula ya sobukwe aene ekere aene Bengete awe shumbuya moya gasobokwe aweke bengete awe moya gaso ekerete ateo abuya moya gasobokwe ekerete ateo
Amuya was Bengete Auyete 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 Muya Moya Sobo Kwe Auyete Bengete Aene 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 Mula Yaso Bengete Aene 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 Mula Mula Sobo Kwe Aene Bengete Aene Aene Bengete Aene 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 Mula Mula Sobo Kwe Aene Bengete Aene Aene No surrender, no compromise. Let us call it a shot. Call it a shot. Let us call it a shot. Call it a shot. Let us call it shit. Holy tree, holy Rasha, I am Nasila, 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 I am Nasila. It is Holy Rasha, Holy Rasha. It's in a father now, Holy Rasha, in a father. It is Holy Rasha, Holy Rasha. And then I let a makuta, Holy Rasha. It is Holy Rasha, Holy Rasha. I am Nasila, I am Nasila, I am Nasila, I am Nasila. Long live and then spirit of Mlambo, long live. One setter, one bullet. Esoma shaya ngamachete na. Esoma shaya amate soma shaya. Tanete soma shaya ngamachete na. Shaya, Amati Sobashaya, Tani Tuchela Machoni now, Amashaya, Sobashaya, Amati Sobashaya, Tani Tuchela Pas Manayo. Iwashaya, Sobashaya, Amate Sobashaya, Tani tuchele ne paunaye, Iwashaya, Sobashaya. Amati Subashaya, Tani tuchele no paso nae, Amashaya, Subashaya, Israel, Africa, Israel.
Long live and then revolution of spirit of Johnson, long live.
Long live.
Israel too? Africa. Africa, we are going to play these recorded messages. I I just want to tell you that if you are able to link now, I would advise that you check that on your mobile. But what we have after this are two messages. Comrade Maxinas, as I said, is a stalwart of the PAC, but it so that it's not too complicated for you. Comrade Maxinas was arrested with his colleagues and other comrades of the PAC in 1963, who all belonged to a high school there called Hofmeyr High. They were arrested for POTO activities. He was sentenced to 10 years. He was released in 1973, or before I even go there. Among those he was arrested with was their high school teacher. No, not Jeff. He was arrested with okay. He was arrested in the story of, and I want to say this so that we'll come back to it. That's not my business for today. The story of the Africanist of Pretoria is a very long story. You need to do a PhD research to tell that story. It includes a lot of comrades who would give you a wise lesson about the PAC. The story it has a lot of leaders. I can mention a lot of them, including Bob Leshwai. Pokela himself lived in Soweto at in Pretoria at some stage, and many others, Peter Records and so on. They lived in those in the Pretoria area, and as a result, groomed most of their recruits, who were mostly from the schools. Our leaders in the PAC were teachers. Now, Comrade Maxinas in 1973, when he was released, he continued with the struggle. Can you imagine? He continues after that 1973 release with the underground formation of PAC in Pretoria, and led those structures as a leader in Pretoria then. In 1976, he gets arrested again. Just 3 years outside. He gets arrested again, and he's sentenced to, in 1979, he gets sentenced to 10 years again. So, Comrade Shinas spends the other 10 years, and he's released at the end of 1988. Who said about 5 to 6 months after the 10 years. He's released with Uncle Zef, who was not feeling well. He's released soon after that with Uncle Zef, and he continued with his life. Those of us who know Maxinas know that he's a very good comrade. So we now are going to listen to him. After him is a comrade. Soon after him is Comrade Denim Juni. Will also give an address. I think that's where we're going into now. Village. Africa. I can move it.
This is a time of great pain when the masses of Azania and Africa bid farewell to a tested and capable leader and commander, Johnson Mlambo. He served the interests of the oppressed, the exploited, with courage. Johnson knew pain, but he never flinched from it. He was always courageous to the last. And to the Mlambo family that has bidden farewell to recently another family member who departed, we say we are with you, Lalani Ngengleba. Mlambo and the girls say we are with you. This is a time of grave challenge. We have just lost Simon Paul, another tested compatriot. Say that we are grieved at their loss, but we know that the ancestors have welcomed them with open hands. May Africa and Tanzania be edified in their glory.
I hope we can all see those who have got phone. Yeah, my friend. What's happening?
This is a time of great pain when the masters of Azania and Africa bid farewell to a tested and capable leader and commander, Johnson Mlambo.
Well, Africa Jackie. Africa Jackie. You can come back. You say for that. Ready. We'll tell you now when to go live.
Israel Africa. Africa, we are now back to the continuation of our program as we know it. I'd like to make this introduction very quickly because our program should continue from here onwards. The next speaker who's here with us is Comrade Mike Mwendani. I know I'm going to try and see if he will blush. I was told that black people never blush, but blushing is the rush of blood to your face. So it should be happening because we are all human beings. That thing should be happening. But because we have melanin, you know, people never see it when you blush. So black people, they say do not blush, but well, it's not for me to explain that. What I want to explain is this. You know, when you meet someone, there are people that you meet and they make a lasting impression. You always remember that first time you met them, and what they said and what happened afterwards and so on. I think Comrade Mike Mwendani for me is one of those. And let me explain my own experience. In my missions of the PAC underground, I'm sent to Harare in Zimbabwe for meetings that deals with the goings on inside the country and what happens outside the country. And one of our mutual friends, who unfortunately departed, Comrade Bushendlov, was a PAC journalist with ZBC, Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, and he ran a radio station. Comrade, but I know that it was one of the central business district. And when I'm there, Comrade Vos invited me to a meeting, but I meet with other Africanists who are generally going on with their business, but are working closely with the PAC. So again, we're not supposed to be going out, but we decide to meet and sit because we know each other. And I'm happy to meet him because I had heard of him at that stage, but never met him. He's with Bradek. He was an actor. If you remember Generations, there was an old man there. He acted in Generation Bradek. David Pedro. Yeah, Pedro. And yes, we discussed such heavy politics that he adds. You know, I remember very well that Seminya said that, you know, there's a story of King Solomon's mines. Of a healer, traditional healer, Arki Gogul in the book in King Solomon's Mine. The book called King Solomon's Mine. It's a version that they emphasize of a witch doctor. We discuss that, and we discuss how in fiction, in songs, in all the arts, African people are distorted, in these books. So we discussed that. Hey, I'm taken up with this discussion. Unfortunately, the discussion is cut short because they have to leave after we had tea there with two wonderful personalities who are big in the arts. As I stay and talk there with Comrade Vosendlovu, me and him come from the same area, so it was good for us to meet. He was from Alexandra, and his family had moved to Tembisa, where my family also had moved to Tembisa. And I'd known him as Brawali hippie, but then here we are, we meet in the mid-80s in exile, he's there. And then he tells me, I'm going to introduce you to someone very important, and I want you to work with. Here's this comrade manje uzongilethela lama guerrilla we PAC, and mina ngizela ngento zami yabo ngine program yami. He doesn't take me serious, and he can see that I'm a little uncomfortable. There comes Ramai. He's light complexioned, and he greets me like he's known me for all these years. Yeah? Embraces me like a younger brother, and says, "Hey man, I saw you in Zanin the other day. Just make sure you look after yourself when you travel. Don't do that thing you are doing." Hey, this country. So these are the first words we just met. These are the first words he discusses with me. And then we sat and discussed a lot of other things. I can't go into them. I'm making an introduction. But that sat with me, you know. But after that, Comrade Mike Mandani was a member of the Central Committee at the time. He was also responsible for labor. At the time, we had a strong labor movement growing in the country. He was responsible for connections with and strategies of building that labor movement. In effect, he was responsible for the formation of the Tanzanian Confederation of Trade Union, AZATU, we called it. It was a combination between Black Consciousness unions and Africanist unions, led by Cunningham Ngana and Nefolo Board of Black Consciousness, Pandelani Nefolo Board. So he was responsible for putting them together and giving them platforms abroad and all that. And as we said there, we sat for a long time in Comrade Busindlovu's house. We watched, and he analyzed Comrade Mugabe, because Mugabe, there was a prime minister session in the parliament in Zimbabwe. And Comrade Mugabe was responding to what the questions that were coming through to him without reading and responding to it. And he was now telling me about how accomplished politicians respond to issues. So you see, it was a class, basically. And then after that meeting, we met with Comrade, we started a friendship, a comradeship and a friendship. Look, today is 2021, that friendship is still. He helped us form, and this is the part that I thought will make him blush. He helped us form a cultural organization, an arts performance organization called Mafube Arts Commune. And with Mafube Arts Commune, we used that platform. We had planned it with him. We named the thing with him. We used that platform to mobilize most of the people in the country, side by side with labor, because we felt that take a platform and Ushau line was not very clever at the time. So with the arts, we could be able to do that. Comrade Mandani then did all of these things. Now in my book, Comrade Mandani has played a similar role, and perhaps even more than with his contemporaries, the people he grew up with, the people he was involved with in the struggle. And he has helped make that connection with the next generation of PAC leaders. He's a humble man, so he'll never admit it to him, and he'll never boast about these things, because that's not the culture in the PAC. But I would like us to understand him in that context. There are comrades who have made tremendous contributions in the struggle, but when they walk in the streets, they are like ordinary men, like me and you. But their contributions have made transformation in the country, and these are people that we should honor. These are companions of Sobu. These are people who should be honored by an award that the PAC should issue out to them. And I think we should begin, as the new generation, picking up the baton. We should be able to acknowledge and give those people that honor in the best way that we can. I'm introducing Comrade Mark Mandani, but he will tell us here. He was co-accused with Mlambo in the case in 1963, and he went to jail with him. Comrade Mendane, the platform is yours.
Mlambo, umfula, a river, iqala entabeni, ayiqali nje noma ikuphi. I-river ayiqali ihambeke, ihambe ijikeleze ibe nasemva, phinde iye phambili. Njengothukela, uthukela lunjalo. Luya phambili lubuyele emuva, luya phambili lubuyele emuva. Until ingene olwandle. Lo mlambo lo mfula esingayo namhlanje naye kwaqala entabeni eKilnaton ephuziswa umhoba eKilnaton nabanye abakhombrethi abaningi. Yazi irole edlalwe umhoba ku-PAC abantu abaningi abayazi mix ukuthi wenzeni ngoba naye umuntu humble nje umhoba neyamazi humble akusumuntu ozahamba ethi ama revolutionary ukuthi and abone abanye abantu abangekho revolutionary abayenzi le nto leyo. True revolutionaries don't do that. They just sit and baqhubeka ngomsebenzi wabo. So lo mlambo so ufikile ke lwandle. Mina ngubambe halfway ngo-1961 ukuhlangana nami naye lapha eDaveyton sifoma ibranch lapha eMahlobo lapha endlini ngisebenza phansi kwakhe. Ngifunda into eziningi kulo mlambo lona njengoba nami ngingatheleka khona njengamanzi, kodwa mina ngingafiki lapha ekhona, kodwa ngizoqhubeka ngize ngifike nami. I'm sure ungimele ekhona. So 1961 to 2021 laba bazi arithmetic ne mathematics bazabona ukuthi 60 years. 60 years asiyisikhathi sokudlala. Umazi umuntu. Umlambo bekangazi in and out, nami ngimazi in and out. And I learned a lot njengoba ngisho ngifunda into eziningi ngepolitics nehistory. Ngize ngithanda ihistory nje namanje ngayithandiswa umwelasi. Ngimbiza umwelasi, akekho omunye umuntu obembiza umwelasi. Enendevu umntana esekhaya. Ezinga njengomwelasi encwadini ethile esizulu. Sasuka ke sisebenza lapha yana eloke eya elisuthu kuyena njenge-chairman ayobona abokuqakho. Kanti njengoba siya lapha njena siyathengiseka lapha elisuthu. UPK wenza i-statement ukuthi ama-forces we-PA sikaPhoqo azo-attack. Kanti akabuzange elangeni bangayilida abantu. Bavulwa laphayana the British government. That's imperialism. Kuma nge-imperialism guys la. Imperialism is real, iyasebenza. UPK akabanjwanga lapha elisuthu. Territorial. That makahamba. Wahamba. Saboshwa ke thina nomlambo ke lana. Thathwa nje ilist njena asivuse ekseni saboshwa. Mina beze ekhaya bangibona nje umfana obomvu nje. Yellow boat. Very innocent looking. Bangishiya ekhaya. Baya le. Ngafika le ngabathi where is Michael? But Diane it's not so clear. I renew his secretaries. Dele kanomni losni. Abi nami senyaboshwa ke seshawa lapha. C8. njengoba sesigwetshiwe saqala ngokuya ePitori. ePitori sasuka ePitori sahamba ngeveni ilori saze sashona kuphi eKroonstad, sadlula eKroonstad saya eKoosberg silala khona nje saze safika eQhithini Robben Island. Njengoba sihamba nje nokusuka ePitori ukuya eKoosberg ukuya elokhuzeni eKoosberg sifike eRobben Island. Mina ngiboshwe nomlambo la nalapha emlenzeni, siyalala siboshiwe, siyavuka siboshiwe. Manje kufanele uzithume, anginasinye esakhe nakanasinye sami. Umchamo mawugcwele esinyeni sami kufanele ngivuke. Mulasi vuka phela cha avuke ngabe ngihambe ngiyochama ngingakaphathwa mchamo. Silale mhlambe after 15 minutes sophatha mchamo naye ngila sengifuna ukuyochama. That for 3 days boshwe nomlambo. That's how I know him. Yabona mina I'm more energetic. Kanti nyamazi yena very gentle and slow. So uthatha isikhathi ukuvuka. Xabane ngaleyo nto nje. Hayi uxabana okuzondana. Yabo ukuba ungabi nesineke nje kuphela. Safika ke edeleni sahlala eseleni 1 A section. Sisebenza eLandbow span. Lapha eLandbow span we had the same experience, or let me say similar experience. Mina noMwelasi. Wenzeka angazi noma ilanga kwaqala mina or kwaqala yena. Bathi mangembe lapha phansi ngithi ngifuna amanzi. Bathi embe la yabona ulwandle lo wonke lamanzi aselwandle akhona. Bangembisa lapha ngemba bathi bangibuza manje ngembe njani. Ngemba umgodi ofana neliba grave. Bathi ngene khona. Angena. Ngoba khona this criminal guy abebamsebenzisa. Ukuthi kube huye oshayayo. Obephatha induku kodwa nesisiboshwa naye kodwa uphatha induku azoshaya thi. Alala lapha yana. Bathela umhlaba lapha phezu kwami. Wavela lana kuphela. Sifuba sonke isikhava lomhlaba. Lebhunu leli bathi Everett. Lakhipha lento lena uNkulunkulu amnike yona ukuthi achithe izinto ezingasalunganga emzimbeni wakhe. Niyazi ngikhuluma ngayo. Wayikhomba la kimi. Manje mawuthi and amanzi or umchamo ulapha kwenzekani uyawudonsa lo mchamo awuthi ulapha ku kodwa uthi kodwa uyawufaka nabanga bangenza kanjalo kanti yena bemba umgodi odeep bamisa phakathi bathela umhlabathi baze kwafika la naye wachanyelwa kanjalo. So we went through the same experience. Mina bengibiza mental, yazi ngesibhunu bathi mental, bathi mental case. Siphusha ama wheelbarrow la. Isithatha umhlaba leni, futhi wheelbarrow entabeni sithi eSantini. Sifaka amazenke azajike athi. Manje nje uphusha o avoida amazenke lawo ayakusika amanye la. Umeya lo le criminal engikhuluma ngayo uze emva kwenu unichayisa lapha ezithendeni ngeyakhe iwheelbarrow engaphethanga isanti ukushaya ngayo la. Namanje uma besinesikhathi bengizonibonisa ukuthi kusase brown la. Ilezo zilonda lezo every day bashaya kuleso silonda leso. Ngendlela amabhunu akhohlakele ngayo. every day. Sivuleke isilonda kuze kungasakhuli ilokhuza isikhumba sakhona kube nje nento emnyama ekhona lapha kithini. So those are the experiences you went through. Kodwa yazi umwelasi Mlambo, he was such a tower of strength. Umbuka nje ukuthi I can lean on this person. Noma sengiweak kanjani uthi ngingalo ukuza ngizithinze ngaye. He was such a person to me. One day bekhona i-offense ayenza, i-offense yamabhuku. Kwatholakala manje makashaywe ngapha amakhathi. Yazi ngendlela bengumhlonipha ngakhona, ngendlela bengimthanda ngakhona ngoba ubaba wami, I wept. Ukuthi bamhumiliate, bamhlaza umuntu omdala. Ngoba bekumuntu omdala kimi njengamanje. Bamshaya lapha. I could never imagine, even up to today, mangicabanga ngalo nto leyo. Inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu kakhulu. Ukuthi sikhuluma ngamabhunu kodwa siwazi. Ukuthi abantu abanjani. Khona manje sesifuna ukuba embrace. Mawaba embrace bathi i-racist. Mina ngeke ngibakhohlwe. Umlambo wangifundisa i-status campaign. Uye wayichaza i-status campaign kimina eku-PAC. Uchairman bese khulumile ngayo i-status campaign. Okay, yeah. Ukuthi benilandelana. Wangifundisa i-status campaign ukuthi ukuzithanda. Uma singazithanda thina, sizihloniphe njengabantu abamnyama, angeke bakwazi ukucindezela amabhunu. Ngoba sizakwazi ukuzenzela izinto, sikwazi ukusebenzisana, sikwazi ukwenza izinto ezizazuzisa thina empilweni zethu. I-PAC iqine ngalonto, ayikho enye organization ekhuluma ngengqondo yomuntu ukuthi ucindezelwe. Ucindezelwa ngoba ingqondo yakho iyavuma ucindezelwa. Uthi lokhuwa kisihlari samuntu. Sithi umlungu omdala, umlungu wami, yini yona lonto leyo? I-PAC iyo ke esebenzela ukususa lonto leyo. Wangichazela kahle Umlambo ngalezi zinto lezi. Zahlala enhlizweni nami. Ngaze ngabhala incwadi around that. Umsebenzi wami esengiwenzayo manje ukuqaqa ingqondo zabantu kuma communities. Ngisebenzisani i-status campaign ukuthi bakhululeke. Into efana naleyo ukhona uDrake Coker. uDrake Coker ube yi-leader ye-trade union movement la ekhaya. Waye-America ngelinye ilanga. Wema wathi ufuna uku-addressa abantu lapha. Wathi akuze abantwana ababili lapha e-stage. Beze labantwana. Uthi ngifuna sidlale igame manje. Yabona wena ngoba so. Wena ujump ephe kwakhe. Abantwana baya-enjoy lento leyo. Bayagoba bayajumpana, bayagoba bayajumpana. Abantu bayacasuka ukuthi wenzani lo baba bethe uzenza i-speech. Kodwa yena ubhizi udlalisa abantwana la. Uthe uma seqedile angakakhulumi. Wathi in conclusion, brothers and sisters, in conclusion of my speech, let me emphasize again ukuthi when you bend, people will jump over you. But when you stand up, ngoba uyawamisa labantwana manje bajumpana sebemile bahluleka. Abawazi jump umuntu omile, bajump umuntu ogobile kuphela. Wathi uma uvuma ukuthi ugobe uthi bazakujumpa phekwa. Kodwa uma straight uzihloniphe kanje akekho umuntu uzajumpa over you. Wathola i-standing ovation engaka. So iyahambelana lonto lo ne-status campaign ukuthi ilapha engqondweni ukuthi wenzani wena uma ubukene nabelungu, uyabavumela yini ukuthi bagibele, ngoba if awubavumeli ayikho into abazayenza kuyo i-status campaign. Into engifuna ukuyisho-ke ukuthi uma silalela labantu abazakhuluma nalaba sebekhulumile, masingalaleli ukuthi uMlambo wenzeni, ziningi izinto azenziwe ngeke siziqede. Masilalele ukuthi uzenzeleni, ubezenza ngenhloso ethini, ukusho imigomo yakhe, his values nama-attributes wakhe yiwaphi, ngoba ama-attributes womuntu yiwo lawa ayenza ukuthi umuntu ayenze lezi zinto esizincomayo thina uma simbuka. So I urge you ke ukuthi let us extract ama-attributes or ama-values wakaMlambo ukuthi yini lena bemrula la, ngoba inkosi yakhe ila engqondweni yakhe, ubenza izinto according to what his mind told him. That is why namanje simhlonipha kangaka. Omunye ubhuti bathi uMarcus Solomon besinaye ejele lase-Cape Town, ubengikholile about 3 days ago, ethi uMlambo was not a party person. Esho ukuthi akahlonishwa nje ku-PAC kuphela, uhlonishwa all over, umuntu omaziyo nje behlonishwa yiwo wonke ama-party or ama-organization abese-island. Namanje lapha ayakhona uyahlonishwa, akunjalonga lapha ezesisi akekho umuntu ongamhloniphi. So umuntu wabantu, masikhuluma ngama-masisi sikhuluma ngomuntu onjengaye, ongazisusi kuma-masisi, ongathi futhi hayi laba i-ANC yasema-masisi, ama-masisi wakhe khona manje lapha kaMlambo bakhona abanye abantu ababelonga kwamanye ama-organization kodwa zange azisuse kubo, ngoba uyazi ukuthi ithi PAC unite, rally and unite the African people under the banner of African nationalism. Ningakayiqedi leyo akukho struggle sobakhona. So fulani ilokhuza zenu kwabanye abantu nibafundise khona manje mina ngu-WhatsApp former MPs and most of them are ANC. We exchange them, babona bahamba wrong, ngiyangazi ukuthi ngijani kulokhu ku-social media, ngibalungise lapha baze bayihloniphe into engiyikhuluma, ngoba inengqondo into ye-PAC. PAC inengqondo into ekhulumayo. I-PAC ayithi lo mhlaba owabo bonke abantu abahlala kuwo, ithi PAC lo mhlaba wase-Afrika wanika abelungu i-Europe, wanika ama-China i-China, njalo njalo. Sikuze kube manje nje i-Afrika kusaseyethu kodwa thina siyabaleka kuyo, sithi singama-blacks. Anike ningitshele ma-Afrika, likuphi lelizwe lithi black ozazibiza ngalo wena? Ngoba wonke umuntu uzibiza ngelizwe lakhe, wena uzibiza ngekhala. Ikhala yenzani? Ikhala yini? Ikhala khona manje uma sihleli la umbala wethu awufani thina nje, akekho umuntu omnyama, ayikho lonto lo. Zange ngibone ngaye naseSudan kuthiwa abaseSudan bamnyama. Uma ngibheka inwele zabo ukuthi angikwazi ukunibonisa ezami inwele. Uma ubheka inwele zabo ubheka nesikhumba sabo akusikhali efanayo. Inwele zabo zimnyama kodwa ubuso babo abumnyama, sinsundu thina. Mase ufuna ukukhuluma ngesizulu, ufuna ukuphawula umbala, unsundu mAfrika. If ku-important ukuba ube nekhaya. Mangibuyele lapha kuma-attributes ke before ngiqede. Kusho ukuthina ama-attributes, imigomo ophila ngayo. Abanye bathi quality of your character. Ukuthi yini into esiphawula ngayo. Ungabheka ezinye izinto emntwini, phawula nje ukuthi uma ekhuluma ukhipha wapha ama-values lapha ngomlomo wakhe. Okokuqala, uMlambo bekane vision ukubonela phambili, ngamanye amazwi ukuthi ubone izinto zingakenzeki kodwa uzibone ukuthi ukuzoyenzeka into ethile. Ezimbi zikhona ngizazigwema njani, ezinhle ngizazigona njani. Ube nalo vision, ube ngabheki into eyenzekayo kuphela la aqedelela ukuthi kunje. Ube buka ukuthi kwenzakalani and lento ezenzakala namhlanje zizaba yini kusasa. Abaninganga abantu abanjani. Khona uma usowufika le phambili in the future, uzithole lezi zinto obucabanga ngazo ozibonile emqondweni wakho. uJesu besimazi ngaloko ngisho ukuthi ubesitshela ngezinto ezingakenzakala nabe ebekane vision. So uMlambo was one of those rare leaders obene vision. Bakhulumile lapha nge-compassion yakhe, uzwelwano. Ube nozwelwano uMlambo. Ube kubona uhluphekile noma udumele, yabona ungeneme, akubone ukuthi akubuze ukuthi uqhubekani. Ikhona into engakusiza ngayo na. Uma wesaba ukumtshela athi akuzawulunga kimi musuhlupheka. Naloko kuzawudlula. So ubona lo compassion le eyenza ukuthi abantu nobe ehluphekile enhlizweni baxole. Ube nenye into ababiza i-empathy. I-empathy isho ukuthi uqoka isikhumba salona umunye umuntu. Umuzwe ukuthi uzizwa njani. Kube ngathi wena isikhumba sakhe esakho. Ayikho into edlula leyo uma ubhekene nabantu. Yikho nje labantu bemthanda. Ngoba uyabacabangela. Asikucabangela nje kuphela. Ukucabanga nokuthi if bekuyimi engilapha esikhundleni sakhe bengizozizwa nginjani. Aziphendula bengizaba nginje nami. Ukuzwa lonto le ongenayo bayibiza empathy. Maningi kamanye ama-attribute kodwa ukhona lawa amabili kube ngathi ayashayana. Utate Pheko owashilo lapha kube speech sakhe. Ukuthi ube nesibindi, courage, kanti nokuzithoba, humility. Manje i-courage uyabona musi i-courage ngathi inodlame phakathi angisho. Kodwa i-humility inoxolo phakathi angisho. Manje ilokhuzi bathi yini udlame nokuphola ngathi akudibani. Kodwa uMolasi ubekwazi ukuzidibanisa lezo zinto lezo. Ubekwazi ukuzidibanisa. Ngoba ukuba ne-humility akulula. Ukuzibeka phansi akulula. Ukuzithoba ayisinto easy leyo. Ukuthi umuntu akwazi kuyenza udinga isibindi, udinga courage. So makwazi ukuhlanganisa zonke lezo uzabona abantu bekuthanda, abantu bakulalele noma bafuna ukubasiza, basizeke. Ufundise nabanye ukuthi i-humility, ukuzithoba nesibindi izinto ezifunekayo. Uthathe kuphi lezi zinto, uthathe kusobuko. Usobuko izinto ezinkulu kuye bekuyi-humility ne-courage. Lento ezimbi ama-attributes lawo or bathi ngamanye amazwi ama-qualities we-character yakho. And uma lawo ma-attributes phakathi kwakho akekho umuntu ozowakhipha. Aphuma nje kuphela or avela nje kuphela uma wasebenzisa. Abonakala lapha ezenzweni zakho. Abonakala enkulumweni yakho. Ungafuni sonke isikhathi ukuwina kwabanye abantu. uMlambo bekangafuni ukuwina. uMlambo bekafuna ukulalela abe afundise. Ubengafuni ukuwina noma ningazwani ngento ethile. Akafuni ukuwina ama-points. Uthi angiwinile ngitholile ngithola encane khona. Ama-true revolutionaries don't do that. Ngikhuluma ngalezi zinto ama-Afrika wasekhaya. Ngobani? Ngoba ngifuna ukuthi simlandele uMlambo. Sifunde kuye. ukuthi impilo yakhe izibe enhle kangaka iyenziwa yini. Ngamanye amazwi ngithi kuwe sizwile izinto ezikhulunyiwe uchairman, izinto ezikhulunyiwe i-MC nezinye ezikhulunyiwe abopheko ukuthi bathini ngoMlambo ekuhambeni kwakhe. Izinto ezinhle lezi. Sonke siyafuna ukuthi kukhulunywe kanje esifeni sethu. Akunjalo? Sonke akekho umuntu ongafuna ukukhulunywe kanje, kukhona ingane zakhe zilalele, abazali bakhe belalele, unkosikazi wakhe elalele njalo njalo. Siyafuna ukuthi ingane zethu zizwe ukuthi kuthiwani ngathi. Nalapho bezingasilaleli ingane zethu zijike zilokhuze izinto ezenziwa yithi kubona. Amanye amazwi ke my comrades, this is my plea at the departure of Comrade Mlambo. If you like the things that are being said by him, what would you like people to say on this your day? Uzafuna ukuthi abantu bathini ngelanga elinje after impilo yakho? Uzasho na uthi angifuna ukuthi bathi abantu ngine-humility benginalento lena. Yeah. And then uthi umuqedile uzibuze lo mbuzo lo ukuthi njengoba ngifuna abantu bakhulume kanje ngami esifeni sami, na lezi zinto engizenzayo namhlanje empilweni yami day to day, lezi zinto engizenza zizakwenza ukuthi kukhulunywe ngami kanjalo na? Ngoba lezi zinto ozenzayo every day, not kuphela mase meeting in PAC, not kuphela mase sontweni, not kuphela mawukuphi kuphi, uzenza every day. Mawuvuka nje uyazenza lezo zinto lezo. Manje zibuze ukuthi lezi zinto engizenzayo from day to day zizakwenza ukuthi abantu bakhulume kanje emngcwabeni wami na? That is the greatest idea. Engifuna ukuthi manje sisuke nayo la, sizibuze. Let us reflect. Akusizi ukuthi emngcwabeni womuntu and then isiqede sithi hey besemngcwabeni kabani. Ufundeni impilo yakhe. Ngoba sifunda kwabanye abantu. Namhlanje sikhuluma ngosuku every day. Yilezi zinto usuku bekazenza every day ezenza ukuthi manje sikhulume ngaye even up to today. And uMlambo ke unity bekuwe yakhe. If awuna ngqondo ye-unity ngoba wena une-ego, awufuna ukudibana nabo bani bake benza kanje kuwe so forth, awukwazi ukuxoxa nabantu obunabo kuqala awusekho nabo namanje. If akwazi ukuxoxa nalabo bantu niyilungise lento engalunganga ephukile, then uMlambo akusowa. Khohlwa uclaim uMlambo. Ngoba uMlambo was for unity all the time. Ngikhumbula se-island i-PAC iphukile injenjenje. Uvusi Nkumane nami sathatha initiative ukuthi sohlangana noNgendani ngalo, sihlangana noMakwethu ngalo, ukuthi lama leaders lawa ayithuka mwahlangana. Sathola i-support from uMlambo ngoba bekavele branchini yethu. Kodwa ehamba niye branchini yenu, iqale branchini that is ku-region njalo njalo. Kwathatha over 3 years. Siloku siconsulta kanjalo. Ngaze ngihamba ngaye Victor Fester, ngabuya futhi Victor Fester ngoba bengibahlupha lapho bambuyisela island. Sayiqala futhi lapha ya. I-PAC yabanyana. And assistance kaMlambo yasiza thina ngoba besibancane thina, akho umuntu osilalelayo kakhulu. uMlambo njengoba eselapha ekhaya naniwa umlayezo uVusman esaseyichairman ukuthi uMlambo makeze ngoba bekudala ngikhuluma ngaye ngithi hayi man ningawarishe ngo-PK ukuthi behlupha abantu kanje uMlambo usafika. U-Elizabeth Sibeko bekacula leyo ngoma athi hayi uyazi uMlambo zalunga zonke lezi zinto lezi. So after ngalandi uphokela elisuthu uthunywe uvusi ukuthi uphokela makahamba ejoin leadership and uvusi wanikeza i-leadership kuphokela. Sizwana ningizwa kahle?
Yeah.
Abantu abayithandayo i-organization yabo wehla esitulweni sobu-chairman wasinika omunye. There's no ego involved. I had to go to Lesotho ulanda uphokela. Emva kwaloko ngathumela umlayezo ngomthi elisuthu ukuthi Mlambo makeze was joined. By that time abantu be-APRP abo Mkhwanazi nabomani, yeah, bese bengenile uvuse ebabizile. Masithola i-hit kahle please. Senganika abanye abantu credit, not that they must not be given credit. I-credit goes to Vusi ngoba uye owababiza owabuyisela ku-PAC kodwa isasenxeke yabona. Wafika-ke ulokhu uphokela wayiqinisa noMlambo wafika ngoba into ayenzeki overnight. Fanele uhambe ukuyibopha amafindo uthi iziqine. So several people were involved in this. I'm just glad ukuthi lento lena inika an opportunity ukuthi i-history lena ye-PAC ihambe kanjani. Khona sizofunda kuyo ukuthi abanye abantu benzeni, baye balahla ama-ego wabo, bangena ekuthandeni i-PAC, baba nesibindi sokuthi bagwinya amazwi wabo wayizolo and babe ne-humility yokuzithoba ukuthi balalele abanye abantu. Ningizwa kahle ma-comrade wami, izwe lethu kulonda. So sibuze-ke wena ukuthi wenzani-ke namhlanje ukuze sizokhuluma lezinto ozifunayo ngempilo yakho. Lezinto ozenza from day to day zizakwenza ukuthi kwenzeke lokho na, ngoba ngaphandle kwalezo zinto ezenzeka every day, lokho okufunayo ekupheleni kwempilo yakho angeke ukubone izwe lethu.
Izwe lethu? Africa? Hey, Africa's Pagel. I think Shabona to Comrade Mlambo, the role that he has played is very significant, including the contemporary role to unite the PAC and take it forward. I have to explain this because we are now moving towards the last part, and the last part is very short. The PAC has agreed on this, that at the funeral itself, on Saturday, it will send only 2 speakers. To put it in context, the PAC will send the retired Lieutenant General of the SANDF and the former Chief of Staff of the Azanian People's Liberation Army, to Comrade Bani Hlachwane. He will represent that part Mlambo that has not been adequately addressed here. When Comrade Mlambo was the Commander-in-Chief of the fighting forces, and the challenges they had, the victories they had, and so on and so forth, between 1985 and I think towards the end of 1990. So that's one speaker. The next speaker will be on Saturday when we send Comrade Mlambo to his final resting place. The next speaker will be the president of the PAC, Comrade Zwanele Teenage Nyonto. The Saturday session will be very short, far shorter than this. So in that way, we will be sending Comrade Mlambo with the respect that he deserves. Now, in this next session, we're going to have the excuse me, the PAC sending its messages of condolence to the family. I have two of my members of the National Executive Committee here, and quite fairly, I'd like to give both of them an opportunity to speak. And I want them to prepare themselves. I don't see the Secretary General. Yeah, he's also doubling up as a technical man to support the virtual happenings. So he'll be the last to speak on behalf of the PAC. And before him, I have the national organizer. Unfortunately, the national organizer has been busy with the activities of preparing the funeral with some elements that he's strong at. As you can hear, national organizer. So he's been busy with his responsibilities. But I think it will be good because he also has been commanded by Comrade Mlambo to offer a word to this commemoration service. Yabona manje ngiyamlauncha, but in emzabalazweni akuna ukuthi he was prepared. So in fact angiceli noxolo lapho because that's how it works. But as he prepares himself, and ngiyazi when masifika lapho somisa ngebridge, I also like to ask that the representative of the family, because we are going to have a word from them, Yogwala, and then we are also going to have a prayer session just to close off the session that we have. I must apologize because there are two speakers who are unable to take up the floor because they've had some difficulties which were announced towards the end. So police are on their behalf. We were having technical difficulties to connect with Msibudi Manyana, so we couldn't really play that. I profusely apologize because it must not be seen to be sabotage or to be given any other meaning except to say that we have technical problems. We took the initiative to invite him so that we have that contribution coming from him. But what I should say on his behalf and on behalf of the other colleagues is that in our various platforms on WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on, there has been many words, all of them respecting Comrade Mlambo. We have our own ex-political prisoner platform. There's actually three, not because we are three liberation movement. All of us go to one platform as Kete Balalomto in all these platforms. So in all these platforms, people have been sending condolences and paying their respect to Comrade Mlambo and showing how they've loved him, all of them. And among those has been comrades like Seth Cooper, Comrade Zitulela Tindi, and others like that. These are comrades from generally the Black Consciousness movement that I spoke about. They've all sent their own narratives and their understanding of Comrade Mlambo. In today's world, such things are a record, and we appreciate it. And I wanted to express this in the strongest terms, that we really appreciate the broader story of Comrade Mlambo. I also wanted to make a contribution in that aspect of ex-political prisoners, because I was also one of them. But my contribution is very simple, and it's a one-liner basically. That Africa, to lose your youth to the struggle is not an easy. I was telling you about Comrade Shinas, who lost basically 25 years in prison, all told, that is. And you tell me, I mean, in Ghana, by the time you come out in daughters, who can sit with you and talk to you. So to lose that is to lose a lot, and then you try to cover up, to be away from your family, away from your ordinary friends that you know, because you had devoted yourself to the struggle. Mina, I think it's a big deal. It's something that we call once you have not paid supreme sacrifice, you haven't died like other comrades have died. So many of our comrades were hanged as well. But once you've lost that youth, it means you have contributed towards the growth of our people as a people, as a nation. You have made a serious contribution, and all the people must appreciate it. Comrade Mlambo, therefore, we have suggested that it would be good if the state takes responsibility to be part of the burial. But we are making it very clear that that part that the state plays does not overshadow the PAC. It's a PAC funeral. It's a PAC process throughout. The state, because in reality it is there. I mean, we have the state that, to a great extent, us in the PAC oppose, but we will work with them so that the name Comrade Mlambo is written in the annals of history. That's basically what we want to achieve. Because of these sacrifices, these stories that we tell here. I said earlier that there were two comrades. The other comrade is Comrade Raymond Mbulelo Fitla. He was supposed to be here to discuss this with us, but he had made it very clear that because he also has had problems with his health. The normal understanding is that if you are 65 and above, quite frankly, you are not supposed to be here because you are at greater risk, according to what they say. But our comrades who are here have done so because it's a soldier who has fallen. And when a soldier has fallen, the other soldiers, rain or shine, dark or blue, back on Allah. So we really appreciate that we have such comrades who still have that understanding when it comes to such things, including other people who are associated with the family to come and say. But Comrade Fitla agapilanga gatle, so he had asked to be excused. He was supposed to be the next speaker right now. Africa, I think I have explained properly what's going to happen. So I'll ask our comrade Chris Sankara. He asked me to stick to that. I was going to say his names, but no, you should know him, Chris Sankara. It says a lot, that name. Comrade Sankara was commanded also by Comrade Mlambo. So I want him to say his piece on Comrade Mlambo. More so, he's the national organizer of the PAC. And Kala Hamba and Comrade Sankara, Yavunika Wanjes, Skatsar. Israel, Africa, Masimisenge Kuch.
Izoletu. Condolences to the family of Comrade Johnson Mlambo. Condolences to the political family of Comrade Johnson Mlambo, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. Comrade Mlambo's death is a great loss, not only to his immediate family, not only to his wife and children, but also to the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, the party that he had served with dignity and with distinction. His death is a great loss to the Azanian nation and also to the entire community of the African people, both in the continent and in the diaspora. Rivers, as we affectionately called him, was an exemplary leader. He was fearless and disciplined. He was always ready to lead and also ready to be led. That was a rare gift that he possessed. Most people today are ready to lead, and actually they even fight in order for them to lead, but they are never ready to be led. But Comrade Mlambo, throughout his history, we have seen him rising to the summit of leadership in exile, becoming the commander-in-chief of the Azanian People's Liberation Army and the chairperson of the PAC, his political wing. Coming back into the country, there were elections, and he became a co-deputy president. That, for some, it was a demotion, but knowing the man, for him, it was as good as being higher or being lower. He never really was possessed with leadership. That is a mark of a great leader. Comrade Mlambo was a great leader. He was unity personified. If ever unity was a person, we would have seen that unity in the personality of Comrade Johnson Mlambo. I remember in 2006, after a PAC conference which was held in Qwaqwa in the Free State, he campaigned for somebody or for a lineup, and that lineup did not have 100% success. And after the conference, he called me aside and said, "Comrade, I did not support you becoming the leader of the PAC, but rest assured that you have my 100% support and backing, because not that I hated you, but I thought that other people are more talented than you are to lead the PAC." Well, indeed, there were so many people who were more talented than I was. And of course, Comrade Mlambo never hesitated that he did not support one candidate, but that candidate emerged an eventual leader. He supported that candidate. Comrade Mlambo breathed unity. He lived unity, and I'm sure that up till the last breath that he took, he was for unity. And he was for principled unity. And as PAC, we must be for principled unity. As we bid a heroic farewell to this fallen son of Africa, let us heighten our commitment to liberate every grain of the African soil. Let us deepen our resolve to unchain the African masses from the shackles of poverty and disease. Let us emulate Comrade Mlambo, because heroes are meant to be emulated. And praising him is good, but emulating him is better. Hamba kahle, qhawela maqhawe, izwe lethu i-Afrika.
What I've learned about Mlambo. Mlambo was a very humble person, very humble, very disciplined. Discipline was very important to Mlambo. Even in campaign, discipline. It was the first. It was his first priority. Discipline. You can never ever in life, whether you are at school, whether you are at home,
whether you are in business, wherever you are, organizational, you can never succeed if you are not disciplined. It was a priority. These were the things that we've learned from Baba Mlambo. Some of us, we were just this angry and hungry, youth, we wanted to have Ugura, but you cannot fight this struggle if you do not understand the discipline. The discipline is how you conduct yourself as a person, how you display yourself in everybody, whether umuntu omdala, whether umuntu omncane, how you display ngendlela wenza izinto ngakhona, na the way ukhuluma ngakhona ngabantu. It was very important to Baba Mlambo. But the discipline also was displayed in a way that for a soldier to be able to understand what discipline need to be in a program. Program was a very important thing. You cannot ever from Abu Pokela, which it's journey. The reason why some of us get confused, or the reason why some of the members of the PAC struggle is because they don't have a program. A campaign of Mlambo show in the program. The program did not only because people knew what the program, it's only training. No. It was Mlambo who would go all over the countries, go around, go and research how to develop Amazon. Hence, we were the best. Army, I'm saying a guerrilla army such as apply. Even in terms of its training, even in terms of its ideology, especially campaign. We've always known but we remember a PAC with family, nothing else. Of course, good family, good amount differences. Singaba same DNA, all the things, but we always have differences. But we must be able to manage our differences. We had our own differences, and this were things that we have learned from Mlambo. And I think if we understood those things, surely PAC could have been in a better position than when we are, if we understood the leadership that display. He went all around to make sure Utamachoni in campaign by he went all around to make sure Utamachoni in campaign by a founder. Education in Pundo PAC be important. Ukfunda. Hence in Tanzania, in Bagamoyo, in Ruvu, where the orientation base in Ruvu. We're going to my library. Ukfunda. For us to be better revolutionaries, in Pundo be important. Knowledge was very important. It's only apply. Hence, all of us, if I'm a commander, I'm a commissar with PAC, they were in terms of PAC ideology, not only Azania struggles Azania, but continental and otherwise. The PAC, they were, in fact, they were in knowledge. They were advanced in terms of that knowledge. It was important to understand and learn. And with those things, Mafrika, it's important that we continue with that struggle, because you can never continue struggle. Ungayazi. Mlambo will make sure in Tanzania, even if it's a newspaper they call in South Africa after 10 years or 5 years, this is a fund in campaign. Basically, even in newspaper they speak $6,000, but they would make sure it's a fund, because it was important to understand it. We will even read and have a debate around certain articles in the corner with newspaper. This is the spirit that we should be doing at PAC, because we're no longer doing those things, analyzing the situation in life. Today, we're about to PAC that is different from as is one word, because we don't understand. We don't have even make time. It's scarcity for the PAC. We analyze the current situation, why we find ourselves in. So I think we must go back to those basics. Mlambo, it has been said, he was a man of visionary, a visionary leader. A visionary, a vision yake, tanda PAC nokubonela izinto phambili. It was important for him. Some of the things that are happening after 1994, Abo Mlambo have seen them. But some of us failed to listen. And hence some of the issues were ignored. And hence we find ourselves to this. So we had leaders, Mlambo, who have seen things. Some of the things that are happening today, our leaders have seen them. So we should have that kind of, Massingham Africa. If we love this organization, see next is cut. We'll be able to be able to see, to predict because we don't make time. But if you can make time and analyze the situation, we'll be able to understand what is not visionary. You must be a sangom or something. But if you make time, you'll be able to understand. If today went for replace you analyze and all those things, you'll be able to understand what is tomorrow's situation. So these are the leaders that we have. But Mlambo, as we are leaders today, I don't want to say much. I'm not a politician. I'm a revolutionary. I'm a man of action. I've always believed what action speaks more better than words. Action speaks what is in your heart. The only way we can, that's how history will judge us, is Enzo Zetu. And we will not remember Ababa Mlambo because of what things they've said. We only remember about most importantly, we remember Ababa Mlambo ngezenzo zabo. Also, they've said many things that we remember, but most importantly, we remember what Sobukwe did. And that's what it counts from us. It doesn't matter how much you can talk and say. But if what you say does not, you don't take action about it, then there's not going to be a difference. So with those words, Mafrika, in the leadership of the PAC, Baba Mlambo was an organizational person, meaning was organized in terms of the organization. Hence, PAC itself outside was very organized, more than anything. Training-wise, program-wise, everything that we did, it was aligned with program. So to restore PAC in Africa, we can only get better from where we are. Listen to what I'm saying. We can only get better from where we are. It's to focus on the program PAC. Focus on what Ababa Mlambo, Ababa Sobukwe believed in, and continue, because we have taken the baton from them. Ababa Mlambo fell into the important way when he came back was unity of the PAC. Unity was very important. Hence, when we have all these things within the PAC, because the system itself created the condition for the PAC to fall apart, because we find ourselves participating in programming PAC. And we're confused, and hence Ababa Mlambo, they were there to guide us. Unity from we were from Robben Island. Even in exile, unity was very important to Ababa Mlambo. Even when he came back, I was part of the people. We met in many places, many areas. We went all over Ababa Mlambo trying to make sure with unity, we were not turned amongst ourselves. Because if Tina and we're going to assist, how are we able to love Banyaband or Abanyaband stand if Tina we have not displayed we turn on with? So Ababa Mlambo continue with that unity. But unity cannot be just a unity for the sake of unity. It has to be a principle unity. So ngala magama Africa, a principle unity into unity. Unity is not about talking and talking and talking. It's about action. That is why we say asazana gupi entabeni in Africa. Ila isto ila kunzima khona. Ila uthola inyoka, uthola all kind of things. Merikibele wehle kunamatshe kunama obstacles kunalo thing. That's why kuthiwa asazana entabeni. Ebunzimeni kudabona khona what kind of a person are you and what kind of a leader are you. So Africa, the condition is ukuze kwamanje, it is only us who can change it. The PAC, we are very fortunate to have a PAC that is united today. with a leadership that is united, leadership in a program. And isicelo sami Africa ila mina ngena khona as a national organizer. Umsebenzi wami as a national organizer is party building, political campaign, ukusebenza nama structures of PAC, component structures of the PAC. Let us go and build PAC in Africa. From a branch level, regional level, provincial level, including component structures of the PAC. PAU, PASMA, let us go and build PAC. Building PAC in Africa, it needs sacrifices sometimes. PAC is normal. It needs all of us to sacrifice. And if we want to honor the spirit of Sobukwe, it's the spirit of Mlambo, is to make sure we restore PAC. Because the system that make sure the PAC is being destroyed. That includes my election. We know that 99.9% of the PAC election were stolen in 1994. Media was used to destroy PAC. Hence, our structures of PAC were destroyed. So we're restoring the PAC. The structures of the PAC have been destroyed. And that includes the programs, the PAC. Nokuzwana wethu. So Africa, isicelo sami la. Masuka la. Let's build PAC. Not ngemilomo, but ngezenzo zethu. Let's love one another. Surely we can, Ubaba Mlambo will be happy about that. Abo Sobukwe will be happy. Let's love one another. There will always be differences. So there is a program, a corner that we have started. Already the PAC structures are restored, but abe strong is a phenomenon now. Ukuthi sisebenze Africa. Asambeni so sebenza. Let's go. Asab PAC organization masses in Africa. Let's go and participate with the masses. Whatever the masses are facing, asibeni corner. Understand my problems. Let us plan with them, work with them. Most importantly, implement everything with them. Otherwise, we are not PAC if we are not unable to do that. If branch in Africa is the first office of the PAC, let's make sure that wherever you are placed, whether you are at the rural, whether you are at urban areas, whether you are in Makaya, whatever it is, let's make sure that the PAC branch is there. Let's make sure that our reaching are there. Then from there we'll be able to know. Local election in Africa. PAC must be represented everywhere. Local election. Well, we must remember, we're not a program. PAC is not about election, but it's the land. We want those who are going to the election because we want those resources to restore EPAC as well. But also make sure that EPAC is represented everywhere, wherever you are. Branch, and then in your area there's no branch. So let us make sure we have a branch. Now, coming back to the funeral, Africa. Africa, Mlambo deserve better. The PAC deserve better. We cannot lay down Mlambo an ordinary person. He was not a leader of the PAC. He was a leader of African at home and abroad. Oh, he has met Ayasa Arafat and many leaders. He was known. He made sure with PAC as you. And I know what even now, a lot of countries they respect Baba Mlambo. Therefore, let's give Baba Mlambo a funeral that he deserves. We know what you are in the COVID lockdown, but that does not stop us from giving Baba Mlambo a funeral that is deserved. Of course, we have to observe the lockdown. What do you call it? Regulations. Of course, in the tent, we'll have those members, those 50 members. But outside, we'll have to have our own members, but observing those regulations. Similarly, a funeral I deserve in Africa. Meaning, especially members of the Upper Green Brigade, must wear their uniform because Ubaba Mlambo was our commander-in-chief in exile. So let us give him that full military parade and funeral. But when we do that, let's do that and display discipline. We are going to drill Amachoni upon a uniform, let them wear a uniform. All of them. Members of APLA, Green Brigade, commanders, they must wear their uniform. You will be there as with your platoons, with your commanders, drilling. Listen to your commanders how we should step by the sounding up. Yeah. Listen to your commanders. Display yourself with discipline. We're not gangster here in Africa. We must remember whatever we do, we must do it with discipline because we must display a high discipline. Outside we must display discipline. So ngiyacela machoni izani nigqoke uniform yenu nize ni conduct ama drill proper. We're not going to carry a coffin, obviously. We're not going to be carrying a coffin, obviously. But we will display, we'll have it drills and stuff so that we can give him the honor that I display. Africa, PAC discipline is not the responsibility of any individual. All of us here and each and every member of the PAC has a responsibility to make sure equity discipline in the PAC is always restored. So when we go to places like a funeral, are your place where people who behave like gangster or whatever? We are a professional organization. Whatever we do, we must do it professional. So I'm emphasizing this issue of discipline in Africa. We are going to, I think by Friday, tomorrow, yeah. Amachoni must start practicing. And wherever you are, especially like Ekuruleni, Mafrika Bongani, where's Mafrika Bongani? The commander of Green Brigade. Mafrika Shaka is in charge of Green Brigade. Let them practice it drill as it's supposed to be. Those who, not everyone can be a commander. Let Mafrika Shaka, if you are not part of, if you join, let Mafrika be a commander here. Africa region will also command other units. Let's listen to them. So we must listen to our commanders. So it really in Africa tomorrow must be practiced so that it must figure out the way things are corner. Some of the things will be told, we will give you directive how it should be done because we're not sure of the Utimegajani area, but we will tell you what to do. But please, Africa, recklessly and stuff, it should not be happening. If there is going to be any other shooting, it will be, you will be informed. If there is not going to be any shooting, you have to adhere to that. And it Africa. So let us respect Mlambo, umuntu discipline bengazwana in this moment. So kumele simambise ngendlela yakhe lebekafuna ngayo that is expected of him. Africa, I don't want to say much. Let us make Mlambo proud. Let us make PAC proud. Let us make sure the masses, when they see PAC, a disciplined organization, a PAC that is different from all other organizations. We are a unique organization. Let us make that Africa. Let's carry your banners, wear your PAC regalia, wear your APLA regalia, bring your pamphlets, your poster, whatever it is, to make sure what people see with the PAC it's alive and kicking. Is Africa. One PAC. One PAC. One unit.
Please, village. Comrades, we're now coming to our final stage now. Ne kopa fela re be discipline re kwale hantle ntsho. Re thomile hantle, re fetsa hantle. We're going to have words from the authorities now, and the authorities in this instance will be the Secretary General, and then after that we'll have a vote of thanks, and then we'll have Ropala ka thapelo. Ate moruti ka Ropala ka thapelo. Ha re feditse mosebetsi wa letsatsi o etsahetse. Ke tla kopa fela hore ba nkareng re ba gatile di-cons a ba utlwa monate somewhere, ba re inele mabogo mo metsing gore ba utlwisise dilo tse di a etsagala. But I hope there's nothing like that. We have tried to be as to the point as possible. We only apologize. Sometimes we started late, but the program was 3 hours from 2 to 5. I think we've done relatively well when it comes to that. Masingene Mhloleni, Comrade SG, Comrade Apapo, the floor is yours.
Izwelethu, Africa, PAC motto, one settler, one bullet. Program Director, let me start by greeting you and acknowledging you, Secretary for Publicity and Information. The branch leadership of the PAC present here, the regional leadership of the PAC present here, the provincial leadership of the PAC present here, in particular you, the chairperson, Comrade Mlambo. You are acknowledged. Members of the NEC, in particular the national organizer of the PAC, you are also recognized. The church leaders that are present here, baruti ba ka ba batle, re le mokgatlo wa PAC re a leboha hore le bile le rona. Ebile re a leboha le hore le re hlokomelletseng ntate le tsamaisane le ena tsela. Re le mokgatlo wa PAC re leboha haholo. Members of the PAC who are present here and those who wished to be here but they could not be here because of obvious reasons, because of COVID or the pandemic that is in this country. We also acknowledge you from far afield, and those who are here with us, we acknowledge you. We know it's a very, very difficult period for the organization, the PAC. We know that members of the PAC wanted to be here in their numbers. They wanted to travel. We had to persuade them. We had to persuade you, those who are listening from home, those who are listening from far afield, not to come, so that we respect the regulations of COVID-19. But we appreciate that you respected that and you did not come. You respected the fact that the leadership has called upon you not to be here and for us to observe these regulations. We really thank you as members of the PAC, those who wanted to be here but could not be here. The family, you gave us your son. Sometimes we abused your son. Sometimes we used him to the benefit of this organization, or some of us to the benefit of us as individuals. You also gave your son to the community here and everywhere else in the world. He has traveled a lot. We have heard that from everyone who has presented here today. We really appreciate it as the PAC the family, that you were able to give us your son, and were able to. He became the leader of this organization. Comrades, the chairperson or the program director has requested me not to be long because everything has been said about Ubaba Mlambo. But I just want to say a few things before I go down about Untate Mlambo. I'm happy that Comrade Busang is here. When we were coming here on Sunday, I related to him a story that remains so fondly in my heart about Ubaba Mlambo. I said we came here at the house, I think it was in 2002 or 2001, I can't remember very well. We came here to congratulate Ubaba because there was a son who had just been born. And Ubaba was very excited that now he finally has a son. And we came here to congratulate him and all of that. And he carried his son. And you could imagine an old man carrying a son, and a very young son said, no, Mafrika, Rabona Mafrika, we really thank you. We carried the son and all of that. And after that, immediately, we wanted to get into the issues of the PAC, as we normally do as members of the PAC. We don't take long. We don't even sometimes just greet each other quickly and get into the issues of the PAC. And when we were about to do that, he immediately stopped us. He said, no, Mafrika, you can't do that. Please tell me, how are your families? How are they doing? How are your better halves or your partners? How are they doing? And as you know, we would want to pass that stage quickly. No, Mafrika, they are doing well. The wife and everything. And said, no, Mafrika. Tell me, the kids and the like. And we're anxious. We wanted to get into PAC as young people, wanted to get into PAC matters, but he stopped us. After that, he then said, Mafrika, we as leaders of this organization have suffered a lot to an extent that we never had an opportunity to have our own families. Look at me, at my age, this is my firstborn child. My in-laws are almost the same age as mine. Can we imagine that? Please don't squander that opportunity that you have with your families. Make sure that you take care of your families. For us, it was important because we had to fulfill the objectives of the struggle. But for you, yes, you can still participate in whatever things that you are doing in the political environment or pursuing the aims and objectives of the PAC. But make sure, by all means necessary, that your families are also equally important. And that was so profound. And we thought, hey, Mafrika is holding us back. We want to discuss these issues of the PAC. And I said, I'm not going to end there. He went on and on and on, explaining what his life has been. The same way that Comrade Muyandani has just explained, what happened in his whole life and all of that. And in a way, at the end, he said, these are the lessons that you should learn and embrace and understand that you also teach others who are coming after you. The other things around the organization, you can still discuss them and all of that. But importantly, we also worked very closely together, Ntate and Dan and members of the Unity Facilitating Committee. Maybe I should also thank them in their absence, members of the Unity Facilitating Committee who had intended to be here. I know members of the PAC were asking when they saw our program as to what is this UFC? Because some are new in the organization, some do not understand the role that the Unity Facilitating Committee plays. Let me tell you, members of the PAC, what is the Unity Facilitating Committee. It was a committee that was meant to ensure that there is a unity in the PAC. And that committee included all veterans of the PAC, and former leaders of the PAC, all of which embraced unity and ensured that we all come together as one united organization. One of the things that we agreed upon yesterday was that we are going to ensure that we embrace, or the theme of this funeral, the memorial service, become only one: unity, unity, unity of the PAC. And we made that commitment to the family that will ensure that the wishes of Ubaba, the unity, are fulfilled. Unable to do that during the funeral of Umama Sobukwe, we said this is the last opportunity for us to get united. Let us use the funeral and the memorial service and any other activity that are related to this funeral to ensure that there's unity in this room. We are going to ensure that this funeral is as inclusive as possible and everyone has the right to come and ensure that they pay their last respect to our founding member and our hero, Ubaba Mlambo. Importantly, in Africa, there are also wishes of the family which they take from Ubaba himself as to how he wishes this funeral to be conducted. We discussed that yesterday. Let us ensure that we adhere to his wishes. His wishes are that there will be no random shooting at his funeral. Let's ensure that we adhere to that. The family has also expressed the view that we should ensure that we adhere to all the regulations of COVID-19. In terms of social distancing, washing hands, we all know those regulations. Let us make sure that we adhere to those regulations in respect of Ubaba. Importantly, Africa, as an organization, respecting the wishes of the family, we have applied for a state funeral. I'm happy to announce that that has been accepted. Ubaba will be buried with all the respect. One of the speakers said, Ubaba did not belong to the PAC. He belonged to all Africans as a whole, here in Tanzania and the continent and international. As such, he will be given such a respect. We expect that his funeral will be given all the accolades that the state provides to all other leaders of the organization. Of course, there will always be issues that we want to raise, but those issues, there are committees that are dealing with those issues, ensuring that members of the PAC are also respected and are also given a space to honor their leader. At the same time, there are also these protocols. So we'll strike a balance and ensure that this funeral is conducted in a most dignified way and in a way that will show our respect to Ubaba. We have also made sure that we apply that he should be buried where a place or a designated area for heroes of the struggle or for heroes in general in this country. That will also happen. Comrade she's not here. She was going to provide the details around that, but I'm not going to ask her here. But we are going to do that. So, Africa, let us ensure that we adhere. I want to repeat this because this one is very important. Let us ensure that we adhere to the regulations so that we don't have an embarrassment by the state or whoever is involved with making sure that regulations of COVID-19 are adhered to. At the same time, we expect the state to also respect the PAC. On Saturday, we will have a very dignified funeral with all our former leaders submitting their messages of support, including the current leadership led by Comrade Jones, who will also join us on Saturday. With those few words, Africa, I'm not going to be long in terms of articulating the party line. I had my chairperson doing it, provincial chairperson, doing it so well that I would not want to spoil that and start afresh with that. I would rather stick to the funeral itself and what are the preparations towards ensuring that we bury Ubaba with a dignified send-off. Chairperson, I really thank you.
izwe lethu i-Afrika izwe lethu. Ifamily yakamlambo iyabonga kakhulu. We are so thankful, guys. Sifunde izinto eziningi kakhulu besikade singazazi. Yazi, it was a lecture to us. We've been lectured. Siyabonga kakhulu. And esithola nokuthi le nhlonipho enimnikeze yona up to this far. Siyabonga kakhulu. Yazi siyabonga nje impela. Nathi sinalesifiso sakhe ukuthi inhlangano imanyane ikhule. Siyakuthanda kakhulu. Sisho ukuthi sibonga kakhulu konke sikuzwile. Abanye besibabona kude ku TV manje namhlanje sinabo la awuBramite Mwendani. Thank you. Amagama akho makhulu kakhulu. I've been following you encwadini ozibhalayo, kuma radio talk shows. No, ngiyabonga kakhulu. Ongakusho ukuthi Saturday angeke ukuthi join us ukuthi ngale simo esikhona. I-undertaker izodlulana ngo12:15 kimi. The only thing izofika mara ngeke ehle. Uma befika nje ukuthi bazosithatha le eMaribate kunendawo esitholile ngale. 12:15 bazobe bafika badlula naye sesihamba naye. But inkonzo ngoba kungathi we should only spend 2 hours before. Sengisho ukuthi ke kuzoba njalo ngamagama asithi 2 hours around about 10 o'clock. Bese siqalile iprogram ngoba kungathi izoba speakers eziningi. Sengisho ukuthi ke bengicela ukuthi ngesikhathi leso I know ukuthi ni disciplined nina vela I know. Ngikhuluma kubantu aba-right abane discipline in terms of isikhathi. Ukuthi by 10 o'clock somewhere 9:30 sesonke sesilate. By 10 o'clock siyaqala. Ile announcement ngithanda ukuthi ngisho. Okunye futhi ukuthi sinama refreshment nje i-drink nje just to say drink with us. Those juice nje. To show that appreciation. And akusinto eningi but ijuice nje mhlawumbe niphuze nathi sijabule kakhulu siyabonga abafundisi sibonga kakhulu ukuthi nibe khona yazi besinigijimisa sixakekile
Isolated Africa. My name is Danny Mdluli. I'm here to record my journey with Ubaba Mlambo. Making a tribute speech in memorial of a friend, a stalwart, Africa Poco, making it not in person is a bit difficult for me. A memorial speech on behalf of a senior veteran of the caliber of Mlambo, made by me, know that we have lost so many founding fathers who should be making the speech. This to an extent that the party is bleeding. And now we have lost Babu Mlambo, the last sentinel of PAC. To me, Babu Mlambo was the struggle itself. Growing up in those days, apartheid tying us down such that at 20 years, we were still struggling with grade 10 junior certificate. At 20 years of age, with naivety and calling from a sleepy town in the Eastern Transvaal, Witbank, having raised my understanding of the struggle through interaction with Professor P.D. Ganduli, I raced to connect with Mlambo in Davidton, and there I met the struggle itself. A relative of mine introduced me to him, thus and to the Davidton branch. Eastern Transvaal was part of the North region of PAC that covered Pretoria right up to Musina in Limpopo. In Pretoria, I connected with Ike Mtimui, the national organizer of POTO. Before I knew it, I was deep in the struggle. In March 1963, Mlambo and the late Makofane and myself, we took a trip to Lesotho to meet PK Lebalo to hand in our reports. We passed the border gate with the special branch cameras taking our pictures. Traveling to Lesotho with Johnson Mlambo and Makofane to meet PK and to attend a meeting with some Poto task force leaders from different parts of South Africa gave a strange feeling of defiance. The struggle was no longer just a concept, but a physical moment you could touch with your hand. This trip to Lesotho was very profound for me. It was like going to the mountain for initiation, or like the feelings of a new recruit going to military training at an unknown destination. A month later, after that meeting, PK Lebalo made his famous announcement that 156,000 Poto forces were ready to rise. But PK had not reckoned with the British colonial administration in Lesotho, which quickly reacted to his statement and raided the PAC office and seized the database. The British administration arrested PK but didn't hand him over to the South African forces. Instead, they banished him to Britain. But as the Poto forces were arrested and incarcerated in Robben Island due to the database. Robben Island was my next life with Mlambo, who got 20 years, and he took it with strides. Mlambo was at the masthead of an army of Poto arrested all over the country. With him, from Davidton among others, was Mike Mwendane, who, God willing, must continue to live on with us and stay with us. There were others at the masthead with Mlambo from Pretoria, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Vaal, so on. Babu Mlambo, as you go from us, remember you leaving the party bleeding and the people exterminated by poverty and now by COVID. As PAC leaders fiddle while the country burns. Africa should be producing its own vaccines and end all conspiracy theories. And only leadership of a kind can do that. He's really true.
This is the time of great pain when the masses of Azania and Africa bid farewell to a tested and capable leader and commander, Johnson Mlambo. He served the interests of the oppressed, the exploited, with courage. Johnson knew pain, but he never flinched from it. He was always courageous to the last. To the Mlambo family that has bidden farewell to recently another family member who departed, we say we are with you, Mlambo and the girls say we are with you. This is a time of grave challenge. We have just lost Simon Paul, another tested compatriot. We say that we are grieved at their loss, but we know that the ancestors have welcomed them with open hands. May Africa and Tanzania be edified in their glory.
The reforms from PW Botha can never really liberate us, because in any case, apartheid is a crime. It is an evil thing. How can you reform an evil thing? Apartheid, according to the late chairman of the PAC, John Nyati Pokela, cannot be reformed. It must be totally destroyed. Armed struggle, in our view, which is not to be carried out by one or two isolated trained guerrillas, but is to be carried out by the masses as a whole. It's only starting. The Pan-Africanist Congress believes in change that will come from the oppressed people themselves, because they are their own liberators. And the duty of the Pan-Africanist Congress is to increase the fighting capacity of our masses. That is our task. We will have liberation at a time determined by the strength of our people. The 1980s are the decade of the Azanian Revolution. We have said in 1959, and we say so today, that South Africa, or occupied Azania, is not an island, and it cannot solve its own problems in a manner in which is not related to the general trend in Africa. The general trend in Africa has been that white domination has been overthrown. There is self-determination by the
Isolated Africa. My name is Danny Mzuli. I'm here to record my journey with Ubaba Mlambo, making a tribute speech in memorial of a friend, a stalwart, Africa Poto, making it not in person is a bit difficult for me. A memorial speech on behalf of a senior veteran of the caliber of Mlambo, made by me, know that we have lost so many founding fathers who should be making the speech. This to an extent that the party is bleeding. And now we have lost Babu Mlambo, the last sentinel of PAC. To me, Babu Mlambo was the struggle itself. Growing up in those days, apartheid tying us down such that at 20 years, we were still struggling with grade 10 junior certificate. At 20 years of age, with naivety and calling from a sleepy town in the Eastern Transvaal, Witbank, having raised my understanding of the struggle through interaction with Professor P.D. Ganduli, I raced to connect with Mlambo in Davidton, and there I met the struggle itself. A relative of mine introduced me to him, thus and to the Davidton branch. Eastern Transvaal was part of the North region of PAC that covered Pretoria right up to Musina in Limpopo. In Pretoria, I connected with Ike Mtimui, the national organizer of POTO. Before I knew it, I was deep in the struggle. In March 1963, Mlambo and the late Makofane and myself, we took a trip to Lesotho to meet PK Lebalo to hand in our reports. We passed the border gate with the special branch cameras taking our pictures. Traveling to Lesotho with Johnson Mlambo and Makofane to meet PK and to attend a meeting with some Poto task force leaders from different parts of South Africa gave a strange feeling of defiance. The struggle was no longer just a concept, but a physical moment you could touch with your hand. This trip to Lesotho was very profound for me. It was like going to the mountain for initiation, or like the feelings of a new recruit going to military training at an unknown destination. A month later, after that meeting, PK Lebalo made his famous announcement that 156,000 Poto forces were ready to rise. But PK had not reckoned with the British colonial administration in Lesotho, which quickly reacted to his statement and raided the PAC office and seized the database. The British administration arrested PK but didn't hand him over to the South African forces. Instead, they banished him to Britain. But as the Poto forces were arrested and incarcerated in Robben Island due to the database. Robben Island was my next life with Mlambo, who got 20 years, and he took it with strides. Mlambo was at the masthead of an army of Poto arrested all over the country. With him, from Davidton among others, was Mike Mwendane, who, God willing, must continue to live on with us and stay with us. There were others at the masthead with Mlambo from Pretoria, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Vaal, so on. Babu Mlambo, as you go from us, remember you leaving the party bleeding and the people exterminated by poverty and now by COVID. As PAC leaders fiddle while the country burns. Africa should be producing its own vaccines and end all conspiracy theories. And only leadership of a kind can do that. He's related.
Izolethu. Condolences. izwe lethu. Condolences to the family of Comrade Johnson Mlambo. Condolences to the political family of Comrade Johnson Mlambo, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. Comrade Mlambo's death is a great loss, not only to his immediate family, not only to his wife and children, but also to the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, the party that he had served with dignity and with distinction. His death is a great loss to the Azanian nation and also to the entire community of the African people, both in the continent and in the diaspora. Rivers, as we affectionately called him, was an exemplary leader. He was fearless and disciplined. He was always ready to lead and also ready to be led. That was a rare gift that he possessed. Most people today are ready to lead, and actually they even fight in order for them to lead, but they are never ready to be led. But Comrade Mlambo, throughout his history, we have seen him rising to the summit of leadership in exile, becoming the commander-in-chief of the Azanian People's Liberation Army and the chairperson of the PAC, his political wing. Coming back into the country, there were elections, and he became a co-deputy president. That, for some, it was a demotion, but knowing the man, for him, it was as good as being higher or being lower. He never really was possessed with leadership. That is a mark of a great leader. Comrade Mlambo was a great leader. He was unity personified. If ever unity was a person, we would have seen that unity in the personality of Comrade Johnson Mlambo. I remember in 2006, after a PAC conference which was held in Qwaqwa in the Free State, he campaigned for somebody or for a lineup, and that lineup did not have 100% success. And after the conference, he called me aside and said, "Comrade, I did not support you becoming the leader of the PAC, but rest assured that you have my 100% support and backing, because not that I hated you, but I thought that other people are more talented than you are to lead the PAC." Well, indeed, there were so many people who were more talented than I was. And of course, Comrade Mlambo never hesitated that he did not support one candidate, but that candidate emerged an eventual leader. He supported that candidate. Comrade Mlambo breathed unity. He lived unity, and I'm sure that up till the last breath that he took, he was for unity. And he was for principled unity. And as PAC, we must be for principled unity. As we bid a heroic farewell to this fallen son of Africa, let us heighten our commitment to liberate every grain of the African soil. Let us deepen our resolve to unchain the African masses from the shackles of poverty and disease. Let us emulate Comrade Mlambo, because heroes are meant to be emulated. And praising him is good, but emulating him is better. Hamba kahle, qhawe lamaqhawe, izwe lethu, i-Afrika.
The reforms from PW Botha can never really liberate us, because in any case, apartheid is a crime. It is an evil thing. How can you reform an evil thing? Apartheid, according to the late chairman of the PAC, John Nyati Pokela, cannot be reformed. It must be totally destroyed. Armed struggle, in our view, which is not to be carried out by one or two isolated trained guerrillas, but is to be carried out by the masses as a whole. It's only starting. The Pan-Africanist Congress believes in change that will come from the oppressed people themselves, because they are their own liberators. And the duty of the Pan-Africanist Congress is to increase the fighting capacity of our masses. That is our task. We will have liberation at a time determined by the strength of our people. The 1980s are the decade of the Azanian Revolution. We have said in 1959, and we say so today, that South Africa, or occupied Azania, is not an island, and it cannot solve its own problems in a manner in which is not related to the general trend in Africa. The general trend in Africa has been that white domination has been overthrown. There is self-determination by the
Yes!